everybody knows the Eiger, second largest mountain in all of the Oberland, that I've been flying and training on paragliding as a minted international pilot, they say, but I still feel very novice going off. Michael, welcome back to the show. This is the first show since General Valley 5 weeks ago, and I'm so excited, and thank you for what you're about to share here too. And thank you as a veteran, thank you as well as a truth speaker, and thank you as a friend and a brother in arms, so to speak, from a heart-centered standpoint for what you and your lovely wife, Tracy Jo, do for the world. Mahalo, my friend.
Well, thanks a lot, Brad. Thanks for doing this show. You've had an amazing, adventures, and we'll talk about how they kind of link into what we're going to talk about today. So it's going to be a very exciting show.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah, nearly 6 weeks on the road, so to speak, with the Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun. If anybody isn't aware of that, what I'm going to ask you here is, regardless of your religious background, spiritual background, where you are in the awakening process, maintain an open mind, because there's so much that we know, we don't know, that we hope to know, that's going to come into our realm, right? And whether that's from a consciousness standpoint, a health standpoint, wellness standpoint, liberty standpoint, the picture you're seeing here, everyone, is myself with Dr. Samir Osmanagic, the man who discovered the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun in 2005. Everybody told him he was crazy. He's only visited something like 2,400 pyramids around the world, wrote his PhD doctorate out of Houston, Texas, when he was there pre-war, from Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia war. And here it is. It's the largest pyramid in the world that we're standing on, 2.5 times larger than Giza. And I was there on June 21st at solstice. I ran up the pyramid, screenshot from 5:28 a.m. And this has scalar wave kilohertz frequency going back and forth to Palladian star systems. So there's so much we don't know that we know, and we rely on amazing people like Michael here to share with us what he does know, and also as a super soldier and what you've had in your reincarnation cycle, my friend. So back to you and over to you.
Yeah, that's great. So you're talking about the Pleiades. The Pleiades, linked to like you're talking about the sun and the moon pyramids.
Yep.
There in Bosnia. Fantastic. The biggest pyramids in the world.
Right.
Most people think of the Egyptian pyramids, which are linked to the star system Sirius. So Sirius, you have the brightest star in the sky, and then you have one that you cannot see, Sirius B. So Sirius A, the Canis Major, the dog star, which is the brightest star in the sky, and then Sirius B, which is a white dwarf, which you cannot see without a telescope. So it was unknown except for the Dogon tribe in Africa, which basically said that from their knowledge and so forth, ancient knowledge, there were beings that came down and interacted with them called the Nomo. The Nomo were Mer people, and they would come in with they're talking about, like, there was bright lights and thunder, and they would come down and they would make a little lake, and then they would jump into the lake, the Mer people, and they would interact with them. So there's all this connection now with Sirius B. Sirius B basically rose in consciousness, the star system, and it basically went to 5. Now it's at 6, and there are beings on Sirius B, and I'm one of them, that are seventh dimensional beings. So I have a connection even with Sirius B. Now Sirius B, like I said, basically rose in consciousness, and they kind of like almost completely blinked out, but you can still see that white dwarf. So they rose in consciousness, got real bright, and then boop, one planet was not ready for ascension, and that was Nibiru. So Nibiru basically was jettisoned off, and it circulates from Sirius B all the way back to around our Earth, and back is 36,000 years, or 3,600 year cycle.
That's cool.
So Niburians are, as we would know them, as a race of beings, Anunnaki, that came to Earth and were geneticists and so forth, and made humans so that they could mine our Earth. And we've seen a lot of stuff from South Africa and so forth, the mines of South Africa, and these mines are really all over the world. And they genetically altered humans so that we could be their slaves, so that we could dig and get gold out. So they needed gold to go around their atmosphere, which protected them as they went through this cycle. So these beings, like I said, they're not haven't ascended yet, but they're right at the cusp of that, and so is planet Earth. Now, planet Earth is being held back. We have Pleiadians, which are the most on Earth. There's like 5 different races which populated and integrated with Earth. The Pleiadians, they're number 1. Arcturians are number 2. The Sirians are number 3, and a couple other ones. I think Andromedans and Orions. Okay. So it kind of like pops into my mind every now and then. But anyway, there's 5 different races, and another one that kind of invaded us, the Draco reptilian. So they're colonizing, conquering our universe, the Milky Way galaxy, and there's a pushback from the Galactic Federation. So some of us are involved with that. So I have an involvement in the secret space program, and also, like you talked about in the precursor to our discussion, where I talked with Carrie Cassidy on a show, and I told her how I had basically gone around Lake Tahoe. I was kind of guided. You're going to go around Lake Tahoe, and you're going to pray, and you're going to like bring rain, like it's lightning behind you.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting. But you're going to bring rain, and it's going to put out the fires that are burning all of California. And I was like, do I have to? And it's like, so I resisted for a while, and then finally, I got to the point where I got some time off. I left the CIA, and after I left the CIA, I started doing a security manager for the casinos in Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe. So I got off work. I went and got my kayak, brought it down to the water. It was 10 o'clock at night, and I took a picture, not knowing, that I was taking a picture of this craft, because I went back later and you could see it. It was there. So I was like, what? After I went back, I saw it. For whatever reason, I was like, okay, here I am. I'm starting my adventure around Lake Tahoe. I didn't know how long it was going to take. So I'm kayaking around, and I'm in prayer the whole time. 24 hours. I'm kayaking for 24 hours. And I can do
after work, I'm just going to go 24 hours of adrenaline. Let's do it.
Like, I'm crazy. I'm crazy guy like that. So I don't know of anybody that's kayaked around Lake Tahoe in 24 hours. I know people have, but it's taken days to do it. But I did it in one 24-hour period. So I'm coming. I'm almost about 2 hours out. I'm at around 8 o'clock at night. It's dark. It's I think it's in fall, going into winter. So the end of fall, going into winter. And this is 2019. So, and I think I got a download. I went up in this craft, so I'm kayaking. I'm like, oh, I'm almost close, and then I see this like flash like that.
Yep.
You. I look up, and I see the craft, and I'm like, what? And it's a cigar shaped, and it's got portholes on it. It's huge. It's like many football fields long.
Yeah.
I was like, and I saw it, and I'm like, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting forward. And I'm like, what? And I look up again, and it's taken off. And I get my phone out, because I was cutting it on and off so I could take pictures along the way and video and talk and stuff. So I turned it on. By the time it came on, it was gone. Now, about a week or two after that is when people started sighting it, and they took pictures of it.
Yep.
Well, it was real. So when I was done, so I kayak in, finally get in. 24 hours perfectly. And I was like, what was that? So I didn't have memories of being on there at that time. Later I started to, go into a meditation and, focus, and I saw myself on the craft. And I saw myself talking to what at the time I thought it was a tall white. But then eventually I'm starting to get that it was an Anunnaki. And it was on this craft, the cigar-shaped craft, were also Air Force personnel. I remember looking her directly into the eyes, and she was taller than everybody around her. She was like 8 to 10 feet tall, whatever it was. And the personnel that were around us, listening to whatever conversation we were having, which I can't completely remember.
Yeah.
She was basically giving me insights of what's coming. And so, remember, and I don't remember that until later, but that's when I got out of the casino business. I got out of the casino business, and like a week later is when they locked everything down. I'm doing my courses, online courses, teaching people how to do remote viewing and, influence and all that kind of stuff. And then they just took off, it's like, it's crazy. And, here I am today, revealing this kind of information. So it's kind of like I was chosen to be a representative, Anunnaki, because the Anunnaki, I believe, are ascending. They're going to ascend with us when we ascend. So this process is happening on a fast pace now. We see, President Trump revealing stuff, and we're breaking free from the control system, which I believe is set up here by the Draco reptilian. So they're losing their control over us, and we're going to ascend. So fascinating stuff. Now the pyramids, the 3 pyramids are basically Orion's belt, and that's a known. You look at the Great Pyramid, that's the brightest star on Orion's belt, and then the next pyramid, the medium, and then the small pyramid, which is actually off on an angle, is the lightest, smallest star.
Giza, Khufu, and I can't recall the other one. And what we were mentioning, I've got that photo here for everybody to see.
Yeah.
You have on the left-hand side of the screen, everybody's seeing 3 circles and stuff inside the circles. The left-hand circle is the Bosnian pyramid of the sun to the Bosnian pyramid of the moon, and it's showing you a perfect 2.2 kilometers or 2,200 meters between all of those pyramids and the tumuli, which make perfect sacred geometry, which we now know go directly from the pyramid of the sun, which is the 2.5 times larger than Giza in the world. Excuse me. In the middle is Bosnian pyramids in the archaeological park. The left-hand side is Giza. So what we have here is this goes straight up to the Pleiades. And then what we also have is Giza, as you're mentioning, and those pyramids, Michael, go to the Syrian star system. So we have, at least I know from being 12 days at the archaeological park and the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun in Visoko, just 20 minutes outside Sarajevo, everybody, that this is within 10 centimeters of variance, and it's been radiocarbon dated to 33,800 years old. If any skeptics want to know why, there's 48 published scientific papers on this, including that 33,800-year-old leaf that they radiocarbon dated, which was about 20 feet below the side of the pyramid. So whenever the slabs are being laid, likely through harmonics, levitation frequency, once again, they found a leaf, a fossilized leaf. So that's what they've been able to do. It's been validated, published. And I guess with all due respect to Egypt, Egypt doesn't like that fact that in Bosnia, you have the first and second largest pyramids of the world and the oldest acknowledged right now, backed up by multiple scientific facts, geodetic studies, LiDAR scans, and everything. So anyway, back to you, Michael, as it relates to Sirius and how all these are aligned with star systems, and you're speaking about ascension.
Yeah, so we can also look at Angkor Wat, which is Angkor Wat. The temple complex of Angkor Wat is also, related to the center of the galaxy, and it has, like this beautiful spiral. What's the
Fibonacci golden spiral? Phi ratio 1.68. Everything absolutely lines up to it. Whether it's snails, the distance from our shoulder to our elbow, or our elbow to our wrist, and our wrist to our thumb, and our thumb to the top, like everything aligns with this. And by the way, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Archaeological Park, there's eight spirals and 3 flowers of life. Everything is mathematically perfect to the point where they said it is more than a zillionth of a quadrillionth error, that there's no way these are mathematically incorrect. Like it was 0.01 beyond quadrillions to the zillionth of a quadrillion, that there's no way that you're going to have 8 of these perfectly across 5 pyramids, a tumuli, and a temple of the earth. So there's something going on here, what we have not been told in hidden history, and Michael's bringing this forward, everyone.
Yeah, and you have some even deeper insights as we go a little bit deeper into water and so forth that's underneath those pyramids. So, but the galleries and causeways track the precession of the equinoxes for the Angkor Wat, which is a 26,000 year cycle. And when you walk the temple, you literally are walking through time itself. They talk about, so they have if you make a sound in one of these galleries, it reflects back to you 7 times for the 7 chakras. There's all kind of these, incredible things that they built into these temples that we're still, figuring out and understanding, even with the Dogon tribe. So the dog star, the Dogon tribe, and 10,500 years ago, if you look back in time for the Angkor Wat, it aligns with a certain star, the Draco star. I don't know if they're Draco reptilians really. I'd have to see if they have a lot of reptilians on their carvings on their walls. That might be. So if that's the case, they were influenced by Draco. So we'll see. It doesn't matter at this point. We're breaking free from them, regardless. But with Sirius and the Pleiades, they've worked together for millions of years, and they're peaceful, and they're trying to help us, help humanity, help the galaxy, and so forth, break free from the Draco. So if you look at the Dogon tribe, they're also saying they knew about the Sirius B long before anybody else, and they had it in their records for thousands of years. They're having ceremonies, and they'll come in. If you look it up, they're so like, oh no, they were probably influenced by the Europeans. Well, they didn't read or write any European language, but yet they have these, this history of all this stuff. They even said the cycle, that it was a heavy star, which is what happens when a star goes into a supernova and then it collapses into a dwarf. And they said it had a 50-year cycle, which it does. How could they know this? And so they also said there's a red dwarf, which we have not found yet. Now that would give them, and maybe we have, we just said we have, because that would give them too much validity. And the Nomo and the NASA, all that stuff. The mermaids are all in our society. The Little Mermaid, Disney,
Little Mermaid, dragons.
Oh no, that's just fantasy. Yeah, right. Okay. So they were talking about the Nomo, and they have ceremonies about the Nomo, the mer people, for thousands of years. So if you look at the 3 pyramids in Giza, and you look at the Sphinx, so the Sphinx is basically 10,500 years ago. It's looking at the constellation Leo. So that basically aligns with it's, but if you look deeper at it, there's a scientist that looked at it and wrote a book about it, and called it the dogs. It was the dog star that it lined up with. So Dogon, dog star, Canis Major, Canis Minor, all these dog, big dog,
Canis this, Canis lupus. Wow.
You take the head off, and you take off some of the things that were added later, like the the head of a pharaoh. You look at it, and you look at the body. It is of the jackal. So the jackal is very prominent in Egyptian, symbolism and so forth. You see it all over their temples and all that kind of stuff. So now again, if you look at the Sphinx, there is it's like set down. There's like this bowl. It's in a bowl. Like what the Nomo would come in and create something in water. So if you look at the erosion So the erosion starts at the top. I've been there, I've seen it many times, and I've read about this. Like, that doesn't look like sand blew that, because that's not the way. It's not going in the direction of the winds coming across, straight up and down, which would be, if it was filled with water and it sloshed around occasionally, it would cause that erosion that you see in the temple. So sounds like, the NOMO built that and they'd come in, visit, but, so how much of this stuff is going to be revealed in the future? We're now, but how much of it is going to be accepted? The Egyptians aren't going to accept it because they're like, Swades, drug these up there perfectly fit that a razor
ropes and logs,
whatever. All right. It's you are controlling it. So whatever fantasy you want to like promote. But when I've been there, I've been there with spiritual groups, and they're like, they whisper and they tell you the truths. So it's very interesting to go on those tour groups that basically don't. Of course, they have to whisper, and they know that if they were found to be telling what the Egyptians wanted them to, they would lose their license. So
can't be a guide anymore if you're not following the narrative. Yeah,
exactly.
No narrative, no job.
Yep.
No
job, there's
no
such thing as extraterrestrials. A lot of people have unfortunately experienced that. So a lot of people don't talk about it as much as we would like for them to. So here we are, revealing all this. Part of this is because of, my super soldier memories that started coming through, and the past life information that started coming through. And then that crazy experience I had on the lake right behind me. And I started to get a little of that coming through. So even those of us that are connected with the good side, we're not able to have those memories because they're blocked. There's a time and a place when these memories will be allowed to come through, and as things start to evolve, like they are very quickly now, I believe a lot of us are going to have these memories to start to flood in. And that system's breaking down. And just to a couple of points that you made about, Michael, about the narrative. So here I am, I forget the exact name in Bosnia where we are, this little vicinity. That's Dr. Samira Zvanigic behind me. And this little site is run by UNESCO, funded by USAID. Right. And I sent that to Juan last month when I was there. I said, look at this. UNESCO funded by USAID, with the narrative that all these, and there's like 300 of these, perfectly carved, and they're symmetrical and they're amazing. And they've got interesting symbols on them. And you're like, well, interesting. You can walk around with dowsing rods. We had a professional, global, worldwide acknowledged professional dowser going around. You can see where the water is. These things are anchored points over it. And, Dr. Sam does his thing. Michael Tellinger, I'm hanging out with him. We've got some more stuff coming up on that in about a minute or two. I'll show everyone, right? Because, again, we're not told this in school. We're not seeing this on the news. There's a reason they don't want to tell us this, so we have to find these out. So the narrative at UNESCO, like you mentioned, Michael, the narrative in Egypt with the tour guides, if they tell you the truth, they're going to lose their license, their ability to make a compensation and income. This narrative is these are 5,500 years old during the Middle Ages or beyond that. But that's it, and they are grave sites. But LiDAR scans show there's nothing under there, that they're solid blocks, and that the quarry for this is over 3 kilometers away. But then they don't have an explanation for how these perfect blocks with megalithic stones, with interesting carvings that are aligned with certain things in the celestial sky, why are they there? Now, after we took this picture, we headed up a cliff, and probably about 20-minute bus ride up. And the top of that was an all megalith, right? And I don't have that picture here, but everybody's going to see in the shows throughout the fall and the winter, all these people, I'm bringing them on as guests. We're all set to go. Sweet.
But those megalithic stones underneath the stones, they can radiocarbon date the dirt and the plant life that's fossilized over 20,000 years old. So there goes the whole thing. Like, well, if that's 20,000 and it's between the stones that are, you can't put a razor blade between them. Just like I've been to Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, Lake Titicaca, Cusco, Peru, where the Roman Catholic Spanish churches are built on top of something, but that something is built on top of a massive megalithic structure that they called a mountain, which is actually no longer known as a mountain. It's known as a massive structure of something. It's been built, it's been created. It might go back 25 or 40,000 years, right? And the stone is from the Amazon River, right below Machu Picchu. And the shaman I was with, one of the shamans, Mac, who made this. So carry these things on, everybody. One more thing that you all will find really interesting, and this was awesome to be there for the debate with Dr. Sam and Michael Tellinger. Michael Tellinger, there's 80 of these perfect stone spheres in Bosnia. 80 of these just in this location. There's over 300, I guess, and 50 of them in Bosnia alone, the highest concentration of stone spheres. They have them in Costa Rica. They have them, I think it's down in Argentina on a beach. But each one of these weighs between 5 to 27 tons. Nearly perfectly shaped stone spheres. And so Dr. Samira Izvanic is saying we've been able to go through that and notice that there are 8 types of natural rocks and soil that are used, but there are 2 types of organic materials in the core, like an egg. And of course, Michael Tellinger goes, these are dragon eggs. So it was amazing to see. Maybe they're dragon eggs, or maybe they were made by giants and they were used as, you know, big cannon fodder, cannon or shot, if you will, right? Like we used in the Revolutionary War. Melt down some silver, now you got some shot in the Revolutionary War. But giants who might have been as tall as some of the oldest, largest trees on Earth, who knows? But back to your point, this is all about getting the information out there of who we are, what we are as quantum beings and beings of light, and then what we might be here in this role on Earth to be and share forward. So back over to you, my friend.
Yeah, and you know, Michael Tellinger down in South Africa, you know, he's got the Stone Circle ruins.
Yeah, Adam's calendar.
Yeah, Adam's calendar. Yep, there's all kinds of you know, mines that were, you know, gold mines. South Africa still has a lot of gold in it. Still has mines and so forth all around Africa. There's gold mines. Around Area 51, there are ancient mines, and there are like these shafts that go deep into the earth, and they're perfectly symmetrical. And you know, like their
really
beam was like, you know, down through there. That is, you know, there's nothing we have today that can replicate that. Same thing with the Great Pyramids, that we can't replicate, you know, building Great Pyramids today. So all of these have energies. So Sam, I did actually see I didn't meet him in person, but I've seen him at an event, the Earthkeeper group, and he gave a presentation, and he showed all of the different energies that are coming off of these pyramids.
Yep.
All of these pyramids all around the world, and they're everywhere. In Egypt, in Rome, in Italy, China. China has huge pyramids. And also, the Russians have studied the pyramidal energy quite extensively, and have talked about it, and have shown, you know, that you can take a razor that's dull and put it in one of these pyramidal shapes, and it becomes sharp again. So there's a lot.
Wow, I never heard that one.
And I know that you were actually in tunnels under Bosnian pyramids. So there's these energies. So a lot of people are all about, you know, when are we going to get these? You know, well, there you go.
There it is. That's in the tunnel. Yeah,
that exists.
One of them
existed where people could have gone in the past. And they're, like you said, you know, UNESCO and other, you know, the Egyptian Archaeological Society. You name these corrupt groups, and they're hiding this information from us that we can use replicate on a lot of different ways.
On the pyramid side, so whoever doesn't know about Dr. Samir Osmanagic, I'd be happy to introduce him to you, Michael, because in September his book comes out, and that would be great to really get it out there, the Pleiades codes for everybody, and the world get to acknowledge that this stuff exists. It's 100 square kilometers. He bought it. It's free to visit, free to do scientific measurements on it. As long as they just share the research, that's it. They don't even ask for a donation. There's only one donation box, and there's barely a sign for it in the entire archaeological park. And to that point, as well, you're mentioning from pyramids and then healing energy. He said just in Belize alone, there's 4,000 pyramids in the country of Belize, the little nation of Belize.
Wow.
And so this is a guy who's done his PhD on the Mayan civilization, been to over 4,400 pyramids. Now they're using satellites so they can see all of it through LiDAR scans. And on just the Bosnian pyramids of the 5 of them, every single one of them at what would be the capstone, the top, it is shooting 28 kilohertz energy, scalar wave energy, which is the energy of levitation. And then what they've also found and published scientific research papers on in scientific journals, like you got to make sure you've got it all there. It's real science. It beams to and from, it's sending a signal to and from the Pleiadian star system. And it's actually Maya out of the 7 stars, just from those pyramids there in that little vicinity in Voshoko, Bosnia. And what he told us, because I have like all his slides, all his presentations, I've lots of hours and hours of video and hundreds of pictures that will be coming out in shows this autumn with all these speakers, Michael Tellinger as well, Brad Olson and I were riding shotgun on a lot of this too, is that the 28 kilohertz scalar wave energy, as you and I both know, are healing energy.
Yep.
And what we've learned there was an author who did a book back in the 1960s, and then he was immediately completely discredited and whatnot. He said, well, the Schumann resonance of Earth is 7.83 hertz, and that our human body and our DNA is designed to be self-healing. And that he found, I think it was 10.5 or 10.3 hertz. If you increase that frequency to it, it activates DNA to repair. It sends a signal like start repairing. So they found, and this is a book in the 1960s, it has to do with like biophotonic science, right? Because the electric body, that's the name of the book, The Electric Body. And what they found is that you can get bones healed, you can get things regrown. As you know, I regrew a molar with the patches, and we're not going there yet. I want to bring it back to everybody's awareness that with that scalar wave energy, and with what's called BOVIS, BOVIS, in the tunnels, I went 320 meters back into the tunnel underneath the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. They slowly excavate these. There's something like 30 square kilometers of tunnels. Our average body, as we know, our body is electric, Carillion photography, we can photograph the auras. Our average body walking around is 6,000 to 7,000 bovis. The lettuce that you might get at a grocery store, pesticides and everything might be 1,000 or 2,000. This stuff is 200 to 240,000 in the tunnels, measurable with the highest concentration of negative ions that you can get almost anywhere on the planet. We know negative ions are good. You go to an ocean, you go to a waterfall, negative ions, very good for our body. So here we have basically healing chambers, which very might likely be in pyramids and stuff around the world, not only as free energy power plants for those parts of the world, free energy power plants, right? Yeah, piezoelectric. You talked about that last night. Piezoelectric.
Yep, Mr. Dunn. I've read his books. I've watched a lot of his programs. People that interviewed him and so forth. I'd love to have him on too, but he understands, because I guess he was. He's a guy that basically they do drilling and so forth, press machines and all that kind of stuff. He's an engineer. So he went there and he started to see, he was like, what? And he started to see that there were like, all of these, drill marks all around, Egypt and so forth. So he started doing research and he's got these instruments to basically measure, the drill length and exactness and all that kind of stuff. There's like millions of pounds of drill press in a lot of these places. We don't have it today. We don't have that capability today. And he's like doing all these measurements. But he said that the Giza power plant was in all of these power plants, all these power plants, and all of Egypt, just like we would have energy plants all around which we do have energy plants all around the country, no matter where you're at in the world. Throughout Egypt, basically they have these at Luxor, Karnak, at Apis Symbol, Elephantine Island, Aswan Quarry, Hatshepsut Temple. All of these places, were able to produce power and so forth. So that's unbelievable information. So a lot of this stuff is hidden from us, but it's available if you do the research. But why don't we use this information? Because somebody's using their power system. We used to have on this earth a parallel power system, and it was taken down by this corrupt group, which we can say the Draco reptilians or whatever. But at this point, it's a deep state, parallel institution of government and so forth. Of everything's infiltrated, everything's controlled, like we've been talking about. Break free from the system, and the way we do it is like what we're doing. We're informing people, and people will go like, "Well, that's bullshit. We're not going to let them do this to us anymore." And that's when we cross that line, which we're doing right now, and we will ascend in consciousness because they're keeping us pressed down, because we're at the point where we're going to ascend.
We are absolutely
happen.
Absolutely. And these sacred sites are everywhere, right? So for what Michael and I are talking about, Egypt, Bosnia, 4,000 in Belize. Dr. Sam said you can look at, again, with satellite, and you can see over 100,000 pyramids in Mexico alone. I personally experienced in 2015, the government of Costa Rica. I pulled into a gas station with my motorcycle I had there, and I'm like, what's going on over there? There's like an excavation in that hill, but that hill really looks pyramidal. In 2015, I wasn't really up to speed on any of this stuff. And he's like, yeah, they're excavating the pyramids, but they're not allowed to publicize it. But it's known that there's, thousands of pyramids just in Costa Rica, that little area alone, plus all those volcanoes. And the picture that I just shared here on the screen, if everybody's watched Game of Thrones, this is me just 2.5 weeks ago in the Dragon's Chamber in the Diocletian Emperor's Palace in Split, Croatia. Now, this palace was built in 305 AD, and they keep the narrative that the Roman Emperor Diocletian, who brought Rome to Split, Croatia, who ended Rome being the center of the empire everywhere, moved it to Croatia for his 10-year retirement. I guess, emperors then, Michael, you might remember from some of your books, they usually died around the age of 35. This guy lived to be 70. It was supposed to be his retirement palace. But a couple of interesting things. When you go through the tour here in Split, Croatia, at the Emperor's Palace, which is on the beautiful promenade, just like the Las Ramblas in Barcelona, right on the edge of the Adriatic Sea, so he could escape. It's built on megalithic frickin' stones. And 3 natural springs, and then a hot spring with sulfur kicking out of it right there. So there is a massive structure underneath that they're not acknowledging, right? They take over these sacred sites. And I have one other to share here too. Many of you might be familiar with the story in Medjugorje, where Mother Mary presented herself to children. Very simple, very much like in Turin, Italy. So this is Medjugorje, me in front of St. James Cathedral Church just 2.5 weeks ago, a little bit more than that, 3 weeks ago in Bosnia. And an incredible energy there too. I didn't climb the top of the hill because it was 45 centigrade there. So that's 120 Fahrenheit at 3 in the afternoon. I'm not going to climb the hill at that point in time. But I went in there. The energy is beautiful. It's incredible. But once again, there are these stones underneath the cathedral, which are like perfect alignment. And I was told that there's polygonal blocks underneath the church. So
Wow.
just like I have experienced in Cusco, Peru, and then all these other places that, religions and empires are built on top of
Yes.
the bones of other places, right? And they just kind of knock the rest of the stuff over and build on top of it, more or less like Venice being in Venice, right? Rewrote it and pushed it all down to 62 and 66. And that was it, right? Ethiopia kept 88 of them and everything like that. So, my goodness, they took out the story reincarnation as well. And
Yep.
then galactics. Interesting. So, I have a question for Anunnaki since we're back on galactics now, reincarnation cycles. Until you and I started talking about this, Michael, the Anunnaki story all over the place is, they're good or they were this, slightly bad, the slave race or a breakaway. What is it that you're aware of? And then what is it from your experience where you're standing eye to eye with this 8 or 10 foot tall female being and United States Air Force personnel are around you on the craft, giving you some type of briefing? What is your experience and knowledge now about the Anunnaki and why you believe they're going to ascend with us?
Yeah. So, like I said, they weren't quite at the ready to ascend, so that's why they basically their planet got jettisoned, and the Draco reptilian invaded them and took them over, and made them slaves and have hybridized them and all that kind of stuff, just like they have here on Earth. Us. And but the Anunnaki are, and their planet is ready to ascend. It's helping us to break free, as is the rest of the Galactic Federation. But we, as a species, as a human race, we have to reach a certain point, like 80%, and we're able to break free and make this ascension. Now, 2012 is where this was supposed to happen. We weren't there yet, so that timeline got pushed. I think it's going to happen within the next year or so. I've speculated, when it's going to happen, but we have to reach that 80% of consciousness of humanity has to be ready for the ascension before it can happen. We go all the way back to Atlantis. During the time frame, they were at most of them at fifth dimensional consciousness, and then the Draco came in, rated, and kind of like what they do now. They just come in and say, "Oh, we are here for you. We're trying to make everything right for you." But it's been captured. It's a captured operation. We're breaking free from all that. Obviously, because it exerted so much control, it is tough. Now, Tesla said all along that says, I'm not dreaming this stuff up. I'm just tapping into Atlantean information that's here for everyone. I'm just tapping in. So all of the conventions and everything, that's what he said. We're just tapping into Atlantis. So that's the things that we're doing now. We're tapping into that energy. Like you told me when you went in the tunnel systems and pyramids, that is a lake.
That's right.
All that, and you drink some of that water. Oh my God, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, there's that water. So what Michael is referring to is, again, this is LiDAR scans. You can see it. It comes back like an X-ray machine, right? And it goes down 3,000 meters or 3 kilometers below the 5 pyramids, the tumuli, and then what's called the Temple of Earth. And I'll show that in a second from an overhead scan. And what they found at 2.5 kilometers below the ground is a massive iron plate that had been installed. Massive iron plate. And again, if anybody pulls up a Google Earth right now or Yahoo Maps, and you type in Visoko, Bosnia, Visoko, and you look at that, I mean, it's just a massive sprawling village, right? Or also known as a town, right? And it goes out, dozens of kilometers because with farms and everything into the mountains. So just imagine something, an iron plate, 2.5 kilometers below it, installed. One of the rivers was redirected, that they've confirmed. And then half a kilometer below the iron plate is a massive underground lake. And then what they've also linked up is they've seen Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, and the Bosnian Pyramid of Love, which is adjacent to the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, that there is a aquifer that goes straight down into it. And that aquifer goes down to the lake. In that lake, and what you're seeing in that picture of the brown bottle I'm holding in my hand, looks like a good old beer stubby, going back to Bob and Doug McKenzie, Strange Brew. So tracing back my Canadian roots here and give everybody a little laugh. But this is a bottle of that water. Now, in 2007 or 8, when that was discovered in the lake, they sent this to Dr. Masaru Emoto, who does the messages in water. He passed away in 2014. He analyzed the water, and it has a hexagonal structure. And that hexagonal structure, and I even went and I did research on this today just to re-verify all these facts before coming on to the show here. The hexagonal structure of water is the highest enlightened vibration that you can have. It's the basic premise is primary water, right? Nobody in the world really knows much about that anyway, but at the end of the day, that's the best natural water beyond X2O that you can get later on. So that has hexagonal water. So people have put this, and one of the blind guys who is no longer blind in a testimony would put the water into his eyes. And I spoke to a lady there who is now lives in America. So when you're in your late stage of 60s or 70s and you have cataracts, you typically have to go in and have surgery on your cornea, eye surgery, anesthesia, start laser, start cutting away. She said she put the water on there. In 3 days, it cleared up. And then we have a blind guy with a recorded testimonial that they played there who said between the tunnels and the water, in less than 8 weeks, he was blind and now he can see again. Incredible. And again, I think that goes back to the vibration and the frequency of what we're all meant to be. We know that our telomeres were capped. We know that when we can elongate our telomeres, we can enhance our life cycle. We can go longer, live younger, reverse aging as a result of that. And things like frequency, vibration, since we're biophotonic beings of light, as we've shown on every single one of these Keys of Creation shows, hence Carillion photography, and no crazy preacher can argue against that because it's real science. Everything has an electrical charge to it. Everything is a body electric, even if it's St. James Cathedral Church in Medjugorje, where I felt beautiful, incredible energy coming off of that. Back to you, my friend.
That's incredible. And you talk about how they have this huge iron plate that's under all that. The core of the earth is iron. So it's supposedly crystalline iron, nickel, and that's amazing. Way I know that who had James Tiburon, who channeled Archangel.
So Metatron?
That's it.
Yeah.
Metatron. And he would talk about all this stuff. And he was totally into this. I love to go into his events. I passed away several years ago, but he would talk about all this, and it totally makes sense. And David Wilcott, studied Sam as well, very extensively, and talked about him as well. There's a lot of people that have been studying this energies, and of course I've had some really good water that has helped me. I was in for 25 years. I was in the Middle East and had skin problems, and it was treated by dermatologists and so forth. They would freeze it.
Oh yeah.
And they gave me a paste that I would use to basically put on when it would have these problem areas. So I was treating it for like 25 years, and then Hurricane Helene came through and caused all of this, because when I was overseas, I'm taking showers in over in the Middle East. Yeah, not so good.
Yeah.
We're talking about clean water and that's not treated. So
Yep.
anyway, I had all these problems, and it would manifest in a bad way, and I'd get it cleaned up a little bit, and then it'd come back again. So I'm 25 years of doing this. So then we had Hurricane Helene go through, caused all this damage along the coastline where I was living in Florida at the time. We had trash. Everybody out their house, and they wouldn't come and clean it. I think it was on purpose, and they could clean these neighborhoods out instead of doing the direct injury weapon and burn us out. They use Hurricane Helene to basically flooding and destroy homes. So everything at about a 4-foot level. Walls had to be taken out. The plaster and all that stuff.
I remember that. You guys sent me pictures. So I was on that chat thread. I mean, it was in sewage in your Range Rover and everything. Oh.
Yeah, we lost the Range Rover, about $50,000 worth of stuff that we had in the downstairs. Of course, insurance didn't cover that because of the way the storm came in. So they have all these ways. A lot of people lost their homes. And like I said, I think this was on purpose. And they purposefully, didn't take care of stuff. The sewage plant overran into the waters all around there. So it was we were living in a cesspool, and my skin problem exploded. I had lung issues, I had gut issues, and it like ravaging me. So I went to a dermatologist, and they're like, "Oh my God, we got to cut this stuff out of your head." So they 5 or 6 spots. They excised, and they tested yeah, that's not good. We're going to have to get it a little bit more. So I went to another specialist, and they excised more. And once I get the stitches out, we're out of here. We moved here to Lake Tahoe again.
Yep.
And so then I went to another dermatologist, and oh, this stuff is starting to flare up again. So he treated me. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Then I got the LifeWave X2O water machine. And the X2O water machine is the only water machine in history, unless they might have had it back in ancient times. Of course, probably
right.
And so it's infused with the light, and you drink it, and it basically detoxes you. So all of that stuff that I've been dealing with for 25 years is almost completely gone.
Wow.
I was looking at maybe not surviving because I had lung issues that were flaring up really, really bad, gut issues. All of that got cleaned up because it's basically detoxing your body with a light. So within a few days, I was having stuff that was blowing up on my head, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's blowing out of control." I'm like, I'm not going to survive this. And the water machine came, and then I started using that water, and in days it started reversing. Literally in the day, everything started reversing. For the first time in 25 years, I don't have problems that are extreme on my skin. Spots that are completely healed, and they're the last ones. Unbelievable. So the X2O water machine, probably kind of like what the water you were doing, healing people. It makes change, of course, because that's right now controlling us. But there's incredible things that are happening with people with X39 Solargize, which activates between the two, activate your stem cells, which from the time you're born start to shut off. So that water machine was basically hyper accelerates the X39 and the Solargize to another level, because I've been using it for years. When I got the water in, boom, it was I've heard not only the case studies before the clinical studies came out on X2O, and the things that we were able to say privately from the people that were using it, you and Tracy Joe being two of them, said this is going to freaking change medical textbooks and the history of all mankind. Because once, right now, this whole show, the premise of this is we basically have frequency as the premise of this, right? Where we had Tesla, said understand the universe, think in terms of frequency and vibration, harmonics. But frequency is a vibration, harmonics
And in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And Om, as we know from Sanskrit, Om is the sound of creation. Code of Creation, Mickey Willis coming out, which he's done specifically for the most part on LifeWave X2O water machine. And David Schmidt now with 250 patents. I mean, a month and a half ago, I'm saying 201. And I just got corrected on Friday. No, it's 250 now. So definitely the most prolific inventor alive. Yeah, Robin corrected me on that on Friday. She's like, no, it's 250 issued or pending right now. The Tesla, literally the Tesla of our time,
absolutely,
who brought this machine to fruition. And if anybody in America, just on Friday, why we were so excited about it is it just went national. So it was only available if you were a brand partner like Michael and I, and we share with all of our people, right? And now it's available for anybody in America as LifeWave customer to get this. And a couple of cool facts, right? Fact number 1, 10 years ago, this was inspired by the book of Genesis and the literal single sentence that said, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And David, a godly man and a freaking Tesla of our time, as we know and we just disclosed, went, I wonder if that has any real meaning. And I can look at frequency, because again, X39, the frequency patch, right? Everybody, 70 freaking patents on this little sticker.
It's amazing.
70 patents, the size of a quarter, thin as a few hairs. This little sticker, put it on when you brush your teeth, take it off at night when you brush your teeth before bed, set it and forget it. As cheap as a freaking Starbucks latte, like $3. It's $99 a month, and you got like that. Then activate your entire stem cells.
Peptides, the biggest
then
thing.
Activate your 1/3 of your genome. Yeah.
We've been doing it for a while, Aaron.
Yeah. Like look how young we've been reversing aging, and it's patented reverse aging too. So 70 patents on this bad boy for $99, Gretzky number. Anywhere in the world, people can get it. $99 US.
It's one of the. That's an angelic. You're on track. Yeah.
That's a master number. Yeah, that's the master number. Exactly.
And again, speaking of master numbers,
and it's 10:11 my time. So that's 1111.
Oh, nice. So wow, how about that? And then you're talking about Genesis. Remember, God said, "Let there be light."
Yes,
so David, in gematria, you look at the numbers, the letters, according to the number system.
Yep.
Mathematically, that's how he created the water machine. So he's coming out with that.
Wow.
I just got a little piece of that video, and shared it a couple of days ago. But yeah, talk about that more in depth.
Yeah, we have to do these shows so I can find out what's been going on while I'm out here.
I know, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just putting this in the chat for everybody here too. Go ahead, Michael.
Let there be light. I mean, and let there be the X2O water machine.
Yep.
So it is. So frequency, love frequency, is the strongest force in the universe. Light and love. Let there be light. Let there be love. And my story. I've told it on your show several times about the heart attack frequency device they tried to use on me with a helicopter was flying next to me and
Mm-hmm.
I just did a show with Dr. Carrie Crowley, and she basically said, Mary Crowley. So she said that it was God's love in your heart. That's why you survived. And I was like, oh, wow. I just thought I was a badass and just was able to beat it. But yeah, because I was using that love and, all throughout the Middle East and stopping wars and all that kind of attacks and so forth. So yeah, that love, that frequency, let there be light, let there be love, was in my heart. And that love frequency in my body and healed me. So, of course I can't say that will happen for everybody. But it's happened for a lot of people. And some people have actually been in hospice and have drank that water and walked out. So
I love that we can say that now.
Happened for people. Yeah.
Oh, we'll go back to that in a moment. So if you're brand new, you're watching this for the first time, because every time I open Facebook, it's like, here's 1,000 new people, another 500 people, another 2,000 people. So even though we might have covered this every single month for nearly a year, it's new information for some. So LifeWave X39, this bad boy that I showed you, that has 70 patents, that is all natural, non-invasive, which means nothing goes into you from the sticker to 3M medical adhesive. Put it on, that's it. Acts like a satellite dish. This is the best way I like to describe it. Acts like a satellite dish to redirect your frequency of your body. Remember, we're biophotonic beings of light. We have Carolean photography showing everything around our body. So it redirects a specific frequency that is already emanating from us to activate your GHKCU peptide. That is the copper peptide. Everybody remembers back in the day before Suzanne Summers with Thigh Master, they were selling the copper bracelets, and you had the old guys like John and Cletus, you know, from Dukes of Hazzards, or those type of guys like, oh man, my golf swing, I hurt. And then I put this copper bracelet on. Damn, I feel better. That kind of thing. Well, that's because of copper peptides. And just 9 months ago now, 9 months ago, X39 won the Biotech Stem Cell Innovation of the Year award with Celergize AM, which is a supplement I put my water here. Unfortunately, I have to pay in Switzerland 7 francs for 1.5 liters of natural spring water because they treat the water out of the taps here. And I have to buy 3 of these a day. So that's 21 francs, or in US, it's 25 bucks US a day, just so I can drink water I know that doesn't have chlorine and fluoride in it. So, you know, that's insane, but it's what I do.
Well, then somebody asked me that, can you make a portable X2O machine? And he's moving in that direction. So
yeah, exactly.
He'll take it on there.
Throwing the camelback.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So the cool thing too is, here's a great business case, right? Literally, I've shown people the images in the store that this is 7 francs. And I know we'll still have, you know, you always have that odd skeptic, Michael, who goes, you know, is it really? And they don't want to look it up online and that kind of thing. Like, okay, no problem. Well, I'll show it to you that this is 7 Swiss francs in the freaking supermarket just for water. Here's the picture right now on the screen. This bottle, 7 francs, you know, almost $9 US for 1.5 liters of what they report to be natural spring water with no chlorine, no fluoride in it, right? X2O right now, PayPal, select PayPal at checkout, and you qualify, $7 a day. So do you want to pay 25 a day per person on the average of 3 to 4 liters of water? You remember this study was, what is it, 15 seconds, Michael? You expand on that?
Yeah, the first time I drank the water was at a Dallas event. So he led a lot of, he's been talking about it for years. We're all like anticipating, you know, with bated breath, you know, when it would come out. And so at this event, we were able to, it was the X2O machine. It used to be as big as a table, and he condensed it down to, you know, the system that you saw. And so we got to taste it or try it, and it was fantastic. Within seconds, because he said most people within, you know, seconds start to, you know, notice a change or something. Well, I felt like my throat chakra lit up. I felt like the neurons in my brain like were firing, like my whole brain was firing. I felt it like course through my body, and it's just lit my whole body up. I felt floaty. I had to go sit down because I was like, oh, wow. Life. Meditating here. So a lot of people have had incredible experiences. Of course, I, you know, drink it, you know, multiple times a day. Start out slow, start out with just 1 glass a day, and then move up because the detoxing process, like I talked about, can be, you know, pretty severe if you like if you want to be like Mike and, you know, you drink 3 or 4 a day right off the start. Oh, that's going to detox you really quick. So it's going to detox your body, and then eventually you'll get to the point where you can consume more. So you're like talking about, you know, just 1 a day. It's going to be, you know, like $7 a day per person. Now, if you do it like for like me, you know, several times a day, which most people do over time, start to add your Celergize to the water and drink it. All kind of great
Yep.
stuff. It mixes up great with the Celergize. It's just like regular water. It was like, gosh, won't mix well, but with the X2O water, it mixes up right real quick. Nice.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a different type of water. It's hydrogen enriched and so forth. So it really absorbs into your body very quickly, and everything that your body needs, it's gonna suck it right up. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it.
The beauty of it too, and this is when we're talking about water, and I posted a video on Friday that I call this water from heaven, and Genesis water, and one of the other members of our team calls it Genesis water too, because once again, it's inspired by the book of Genesis. The very first sentence, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. David went, I'm about frequency, X39, all these patches. Is there a frequency to that sentence? He found out there is. He went, is there anything in nature that matches the exact frequency of that sentence? He found out that too, and went, can I replicate that? And when he was in the process of replicating it over 10 years in the labs for LifeWave, he turned out and created a brand new element, a physical solid element. And there are 64,000, now we know this, 64,000 recorded elements in the galaxy and on Earth. And the element he created never existed before. Mm-hmm. So then he went, all right, I have this, and it's never existed before, and it has a high frequential rating coming off of it, like love is a high frequential rating, like the level of enlightenment when you're in a state of love. You mentioned earlier, and healing with love. And then he went, what if I send some sound at this and I spin it and I put it in water? And when he did that and spun it in water, that water changed its geometrical shape and its fractality of its geometrical shape. And it created, as you mentioned, Michael, a new water that never existed before on planet Earth. So when he went and sent the patent filings, over 20 of them, to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, everyone, they had to create a new division because of elements that have never existed before on planet Earth, not just one, but two. So because of this Tesla of our time, who created this water machine, which literally gives positive results to everyone in 15 seconds, minimum 15 seconds from drinking it. They've had people on different infrared cameras and Carillion photography like cameras, and they take a drink of it. And as Michael, you mentioned, you feel like you're floaty and everything. Boom, their throat chakra. Boom, their crown chakra, third eye chakra, and their crown chakra start glowing like white. This, to me, is going to change, and likely already has started the process of rewriting medical history textbooks for the rest of the time. It's changing our world as a result of it. Everybody in America needs X2O for themselves. And it's 100% guarantee, by the way. 100% money back guarantee in 30 days. Like, there's no reason not to do it. Coming from the guy who had his bank accounts closed by China, and now I'm able to fortunately pay for $25, which I don't want to, $25 US for 3 bottles of water to continue to hydrate daily in Switzerland. But that's another story. X2O is completely cheap, and it will change your lives. That's a fact from my standpoint. Michael, to you.
Yeah. So we're seeing, this ascension process. We're getting the technology that's coming through, like we're getting from LifeWave. It's like a wearable med-bed type thing, pretty close. Star Trek type. Now, there's been a lot of people that have said that Star Trek is basically, it's real, it's history.
Yep.
And we're going to look at Star Trek, and I can vouch that that's correct, that it is the real deal. And in Star Trek, they're fighting the Klingons, which are the Draco Rebellion. So that's, we're going to see a lot of that. I've talked about how the flip phone, you saw, remember Kirk was like, he'd flip the phone, he'd do the
Yeah,
flip
the
phone.
tricorder.
Got it. Beam me up. Well, the first flip phone was what do they call that? The star something recorder. But anyway, when they
I
made
mean, Iridium. I remember Iridium being the first one, and they came out with the Nokia flip phone. You
first
would
phone,
probably remember
I
that.
think it was
Yeah.
like Star Trek something. Flip,
Oh, really? No kidding. Yeah.
yeah, flip phone. Let's see. I remember looking it up and talking about it on another show.
No kidding.
Pull it up.
Wow, that's cool. Inspired
It's
by Star
called
Trek.
Star Tac.
Wow.
STARTAC. StarTAC.
Star Trek. Yeah.
First Motorola, 1996.
Wow.
They
There you
called it
go.
TAC. How about that? So, technologies that, have been revealed to us. I've been involved in those a lot with the, military, and of course, with the secret space program. A lot of us are starting to have these memories come through. And these technologies are going to be available to us soon, but we have to get away from the deep state Draco reptilian control system, break free from it, and then our ascension, all the technologies come through. A real golden age. Imagine no wars. Imagine we'll start to actually be able to do Star Trek. That's going to Star Trek stuff is going to be available to us. The Jetsons, all that stuff we thought that we're going to have.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen very quickly.
Well, this is the Jetsons. I mean, remember when she would put on her face in the morning and she's getting her makeup ready, but she would have the screenshot of how good she looked, and then she would talk to other people. And then I think Lionel was the little kid that came with his hover skateboard, which we then saw in Back to the Future with Marty. And now it's fully disclosed. Like Nassim Harriman and a whole bunch of them, 3-4 years ago, with the Arc Crystal, they put out all the free energy devices, how you can do it, how you can build the reverse anti-gravitic and magnetic engines just on your home table, and go into a Home Depot and grab all that stuff, and you could just build it right there and get it done, and run your car on water, just 1 liter of water to run your car for 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
And you can adapt it to your engine now if you really want to in your tool shed, and you've got the time and the inclination. People can do this now. So yeah, it's incredible. We're here. It's just the mass rollout. And I feel I was on the there was a private Zoom call that I had with some other people on Friday, Michael, and one of those on our team said that an individual, a testimonial on X2O, that there was a woman in the household who, I guess from a relationship standpoint, she was extremely negative, and they weren't sure if the relationship was going to continue. And after a few days of the water, is a completely transformed individual and completely happy, loving. And so hopefully that relationship works out. And I'm watching my words here, because I don't want somebody to come back from the FTC and say, you said there was a testimonial that you can save marriages by drinking X2O. Like, well, this is one reported individual statement.
Yeah, it's not going to
share
everybody. But like you were saying, the neurons are firing.
Yeah.
So,
neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Like people with TBI and trauma and PTSD.
You can teach an old dog new tricks if you're in the LifeWave water machine.
Yeah. I'm proof of it in my flying today that I told you about pre-chat. Yeah.
And we have so many stories Miracle Monday where people come on and talk about all the incredible things that are happening with them with the water machine. It's astounding. Pets, birds, dogs, cats, all having great experiences. We give our plants throughout the home some water occasionally, and they are just thriving. Like I've never seen plants thrive like this. And we've had plants for decades and decades. I've always had a green thumb to a certain extent. Not always, but for every plant. But and I'm growing some wheatgrass seeds so I can take them and juice them and drink. So wheatgrass juice is like super healthy for you. And you're using a LifeWave X2O water machine.
Nice.
I'm on there. Oh, it's gonna be spectacular.
Yep.
All that greenness is gonna go on my body, and with that LifeWave water integrated into it. Wow, I can't wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody needs to have one of these in their home, and it's available all across America right now. So,
all across.
As far as I'm concerned, and by the way, this came out during the lockdowns. I can't remember the experts that said that, but American citizens are chronically dehydrated.
Yep.
So we know, and I pushed out an email to my list the other day, and from combat medicine, the very first thing that happens if you have a soldier wounded on the battlefield, you stick an IV, right? Morphine and IV, those are the first thing. Ringer solution as well. So what do you have? Hydration. That's the very first thing you get in the body because you go into distress. You're sucking up a lot of energy, hydration, and stress, and all of a sudden you get hydration. Same thing if a paramedic takes you in an ambulance, you're injured, car accident or something, boom. What did you do? Oh, I was chainsawing and I cut my leg. Patch the leg, stick an IV. Hydration. So hydration is number one. And so I did the ground search and survival course at CFB Trenton, Canadian Armed Forces, right, during my time. And so those guys are combat SAR-techs, just like we have the pararescue PJs, right, in the United States Air Force.
Yep.
So in the Royal Canadian Army, Canadian Air Force, and the Canadian Armed Forces and the Army, we have combat search and rescue techs jump out of the C-130 or C-5s. Right. Basically, they borrow your C-5s, the American C-5s, and jump out of them. And then the very first thing you need to do, you got to push an IV because hydration is key. You can't go more than 72 hours as a human adult without hydration, or you're literally all your body's shutting down. You can go 7 to 15 days with no food without problem. I mean, you have hunger pains and whatnot, but you can still do it, no problem. Just ask your local breatharian right around the corner. So, but this is key for everybody, and it will change your life 100%. That's for me to you. It will change medical history. That's guaranteed. That's what the clinical studies show. 15 seconds is what everybody has had positive results. We see it in Kirlian photography, the healing water from heaven, drinking 6 layers of liquid light in your body. And yes, for people asking in the chat, it works with tap water. So any tap water, the machine will cleanse. So it has dual stage filtration. It is hydrogen enriched. And then on top of that, it sucks out all the microplastics, and you only have to change the filter once every 6 months. That's it. So you got the machine, you make your glass of water in the morning, and you might have heard back in the day, Oprah doing her little, health kick, like, we got to have 8 ounces of water every day and stay hydrated. Well, that's bullshit when you have this machine, because now on average, it's just 2. That's it, because you're having optimal cellular hydration with 6 layers of liquid light. And nothing like that exists on the planet except here in the new division at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office that David opened. And that's why it's the Star Trek age. We've got that video from Shatner. We can roll that at any time, Michael. But over to you for some comments before we do.
Look at that. I mean, how incredible, where we're, we've talked about the, Nibiru and, Sirius B and the Dogon tribe and pyramid technologies and how
Bosnia pyramid water, hexagonal shape, primary water,
all this stuff has existed for us. Underneath the Great Pyramid, there are streams that are flowing. A lot of people don't know that, but there's obviously something that's very, very important about water and energetics and so forth. And here we have the water machine that's doing that for us. Let's tie it all together, and Star Trek and the LifeWave headquarters.
Absolutely. And as we tie it together on this one with William Shatner, who is now a spokesperson, Captain Kirk, tricorder, flip phones, all that kind of stuff. One thing that we learned from David Schmidt, we've learned a lot, is that the only thing in our body that is eternal is the light in our cells. That's eternal and infinitesimal. That's a direct quote from him. Scientific fact, the light in our cells. So why not feed light in your cells with more light? Here we are. So good.
Fantastic. Yeah. And, we're, we'd love to take people to the headquarters so they can see all that technology stuff. And we're, you and I are building, nice businesses, and we look for people that want to share this technology and build a business as well. So that's one of the great things that is not only is it bringing us wellness, but also could be a significant income source. Could be if you work hard enough. I can't make any promises, but if you work it, there's a lot of us have done really well. I mean, your trip is partially funded from LifeWave, so that's
Yep. Yeah, it allows me to pay 25 US for water since I don't have a water machine for $7 freaking dollars a day. Yeah. I mean, infuse my body with 6 layers of liquid light. Yeah, so good. I'll be more floaty too if I was flying my glider. So that would be
right.
Yeah. There we go. So just putting into the chat, everybody. You'll see it here in a moment as it's coming up onto the screen right now. So for those of you who need just a little bit of assistance, make it more accessible. PayPal has been awesome, where this has been flying off the shelves since it went live nationwide on Friday. So what you're seeing here right now and on the screen is that there are, when you go to catchlifewave.com/X20, links in the description, or you see a QR code on the screen. If you're watching the broadcast, it's all in front of you. If you're listening to the podcast later, the link is right in the description. Click that, and you'll see you select PayPal at checkout. So again, I just made a business case for everybody here. $25 for water per day, or 7 on PayPal for those who are eligible. But again, it has a 3, 6, 12, 24-month payment plan options. So it makes it more accessible for people, 100% money back guarantee. It's awesome for all of you who are brand partners in the business and you'd like to generate a little more compensation. You know who to contact, myself and Michael Jaco. And you're not left alone, by the way. If you're watching this live, or you're watching this on the replay, or you're listening to this driving your car later on, or wherever you are, we have an entire team. So when you go to that link, you'll see an 800 number you can call, an email address you can call, chat that you can speak with Monday to Friday around the world. And of course, with everything else outside of the water machine, it's only available in America now. It will be coming to Europe soon, and South Korea and Singapore, and hopefully Canada, because I had questions on that in the Rumble chat just now, Michael, a few minutes ago. All the patches are available, right? And the minimum you want to do, minimum is X39. So, right. You can go for the machine. Absolutely. Go big, go home, the old adage. But the X39, if you can't do the machine at the moment, $99 for a month with a link, that's 30% off and 100% money back guarantee. Ships to 85 countries. And people have asked here too, can I get it in Australia? Can I get it in Ireland, in Switzerland too? We've had it here. Yeah, the main supplier manufacturing is out of Ireland. 2 million of these X39s get made every single day, around the clock, 365, 24/7. And then all the other patches shipped to 85 countries in the world. There are headquarter offices that we have on every continent. So it's fully accessible. We have Zoom calls. It's a la carte, like a buffet. You walk up and you're like, yeah, do I want to contact here? Do I want to be on the miracle calls and hear about other people's amazing stories where they're 70 or 80 years old playing pickleball with 40-year-olds, or you're a 65-year-old pastor like we have Lavelle, and he's playing basketball with 20 and 30-year-old kids and kicking their ass. Like, amazing. And they're like, what are you doing? It's like X39 and X20 now. It's incredible. Over to you, my friend.
Yeah, and Lavelle's wife, she was bedridden and didn't look like she was going to make it. She started using LifeWave, and she was a model at one point, supermodel, and she couldn't. Her Lavelle had to pick her up and take her to the bathroom. It was pretty bad. And eventually, after being on the patches for a short period of time, she was up at it, and now she's wearing her. She says, the thing that I really missed was she likes those high heels and those pumps. And so I saw her in Hawaii when we had a special trip that a lot of us got because we did really well in LifeWave, free trip. And so she's there, and she's stunning. She's a beautiful woman, and of course she's wearing her high heels.
Yeah, Yeah, just amazing. And there's a reversal story right there, right? Yeah, just truly amazing. Truly amazing. A couple of testimonials from people that have posted in Rumble, which we're allowed to share because it's live here, and we're just gonna show it anyway as it goes. And yes, RFK Jr. and Maha wear it, and RFK Jr. himself personally invited David Schmidt onto the board at Make America Healthy Again. I think right now what we're seeing coming from them too, Michael, is pretty awesome at this point in time. So here is Kara Buoko and what she says. Hang on a second, I got to remove one image in order to put that image up here.
That line is awesome.
Is it?
The place you're at to clear it out, so you got the place yourself now.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, there's some Asian tourists over here, and I have to do this from the luncheon area because my room is, one of those tiny European rooms, right?
That's all the way.
You're like fitting in there, like squeezed into it. So here is what Karaboko says. I canceled all my subscriptions to make this happen. X39 and others like Aeon. Aeon is the awesome patch I wear at sleep. It's great. Puts you in parasympathetic. It's got a yin energy. And then somebody asked her, Tina Ray Dunn says, hi, Karabuka, what has the patch done for you? And Karabuko says, I was prone to strokes. I had 2 already, and now I'm free of that. My cognitive skills have improved massively. No more allergies, and the list goes on. Say, okay, thank you for sharing. So that's the X39, which again, 70 patents, activates your copper peptide, which immediately supply chain reaction, activates all your stem cells, and then also activates 1/3 of your genome. And that is the true science and the research that we can share, which is all fact.
Last Monday, Miracle, we had somebody come on, and we've heard this from a lot of people over the years that after they've been on the patches for a period of time. So we recommend that you at least stay on the patch. At least, I have seen no one over the last 4 years that I've been involved that they stay on the patch. They get multiple and more results over time. Yep. Some people, we don't know how they respond, their bodies respond or whatever, but they'll get on the patch. You got the 30-day guarantee. There's like, I don't experience anything, you get their money back. But almost everyone, like I said, that's been on the patch for a while, they get off medications. We've had many people, of course, we won't have it, but many people in this last show, they showed how much all the medication this one person was using. There was like all these bottles and powders and all this kind of stuff that he had to take to for wellness for different
setting the alarm every 17 minutes, 28 minutes, 5 hours for certain. It's crazy.
And he had done away with all of that. And there's a lot of people that do that. Some people that come out of have to get surgeries or whatever, they go on the patch right after surgery, and they don't have to take any pain medication, anything. So there's a lot of and you even had a little accident today, and you got you were using the patch.
That's right. I have the ice wave on my right ankle. I had what you call a hard landing. I had a line over on my left wing, paragliding wing, everybody. So, I couldn't clear it because it was actually wrapped inside. And again, as the pilot, I'm the one responsible for it. I didn't properly clear it on launch. So I came in just a little bit hard, tweaked the ankle. I have ice wave on it. All's good. All's good. Yeah.
And I've had hard teams, in the SEAL teams, parachute, get hammered. You jump in the middle of the night. There's no star. The darkest time of the year, and I had a hard landing, and it messed up my knee, and I couldn't work out good for like weeks. Man, I wish I had the LifeWave patches back then. Jeez.
Yeah. So totally. Kim in Wisconsin says I stopped all doctors' written meds some time back. So that is awesome to see. Another one here from TX Gracie about X39. I love mine. I'm sleeping for the first time in years. By the way, that's one of the most common things that I hear, Michael, from people on my team who wear X39 for the first few days. And this is a patch you wear during the day, and that they have better energy during the day and a phenomenal sleep at night. Just
Yep.
from the X39. And again, go back and forth, X39 and water. Do both. I highly encourage it, because you just heard from Michael. You have people coming off medications, then you're doing this, you're upgrading your body. And as we know from our friend Greg Mascari, who said on both our shows, chemical weapons and surgical strikes are no way to heal the body. And we both agree with that. Ultimate Free Thinker says, my scars are dramatically improving. I'm sleeping better than ever before. I've been on X39 just for 4 months. Freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
And you know that you're kind of hanging out in Costa Rica a lot, and I went down there for an event.
American teenaged boys have 50% of the testosterone levels that they should, and they are equivalent to a 65-year-old man today. So we have a massive break. And then Hegseth at the Department of War yesterday put out a video. I don't know if you saw this, Michael, and it talks about the high T for warriors was the name of the video. And he said that America's fighting soldiers, right? Soldiers, airmen, airwomen too, right? I'm just being general: soldiers, sailors, airmen. Testosterone levels are low. So you can ask for, anytime you go in for your annual physical, no matter what your age is, while you're in, and Department of War will take care of you and do a testosterone test, and then give you, and this is from Hegseth himself saying this yesterday, and then set up a treatment plan naturally to increase your testosterone.
Wow.
Well, where does testosterone come from? What's the basis of it, right? It goes back to the freaking God code in our DNA, which is hidden in our DNA. The God code, as Greg Radin has said, God eternal within the body. That's what it all comes out to in Sanskrit, in Hebrew, in Aramaic. Well, you want higher levels of testosterone, you better make sure that your stem cells are not going to sleep, or you're at least activating them. And the way to activate them is through GHKCU copper peptide with X39. 70 patents on this, including reversing aging. So how about that?
Yeah. And RFK Jr. obviously recognizes that LifeWave is very valuable, because he wanted David Schmidt to be on his Maha team. But that's David Schmidt, of course, is running I think at this point, $1 billion. Number 11 in the world now, moved up very rapidly to heading for the top in the this type of business, network marketing, which I think what I don't think, but people have said by the year 2030 that network marketing companies will generate $1 billion a day, right? So you want to be involved in this.
Yeah, you definitely do. On the Rumble chat, just live, Lioness219 said, I love wearing Aeon at night, much deeper sleep. So thank you for that. And then we have Ultimate Free Thinker. My scars are dramatically improving. Oh, I think I already showed that one. I'll just replay this again. I'm sleeping better than ever. Had X39 on for 4 months. And then I have a Canadian who has also posted here. So here we are in British Columbia, Canada. Love that here too. From Hoob Dude. What a great handle. Currently only 2 months in the X39. My major throat issue has disappeared. Had serious problems swallowing food, scars from accidents in life disappearing. So let's talk about scars for a moment and scars disappearing. Michael,
we love our Canadians, Brad, of course. And our Canadians, they're still under a lot of threat from the government. And they're suppressing on them quite a bit. They tried to suppress LifeWave. LifeWave, really stepped up and got the patches up there that they were suppressing. So you thank LifeWave for doing that, because you guys have all the patches now. So it's great stuff.
Yep, and also for David, for the brand partner. Somebody's in the chat here as a brand partner, which is great to see. Now, just to talk about the measure of a man. And everybody knows about the man in the urea story, but the measure of a man is what happens when nobody's watching. So when the lockdowns happened and Trudeau's regime canceled X39 patches, wow, I wonder why, because it activates something that then activates your stem cells and everything. Then we had everybody lost their business. David stepped in and paid everybody 80% of what they were making over the previous 90 days. And he continued that until years later that Health Canada reapproved X39 to come back on the market. So for 4 years, he carried out of his personal pocket, not the LifeWave corporate pocket, the entire nation of Canada brand partners at 80% of what they were earning prior to that. That's how he stepped in. So that's the measure of the man you're talking about here, everybody, who now has 250 patents issued or pending to his name. I just showed Hudu, excuse me about that. I've got one more, which I think everybody will love. Just again, this is patches only, but down in Australia, right? I got Aussies rocking it with the results. I love on the Gold Coast in Australia. I love these patches, X39 and X49. So that is just awesome from Denise Sherlock, 8032. So maybe that's a cool little handle there. And another LifeWave Aussie says, yes, nearly 2 years and results are amazing. I'm in Aussieland too. Definitely want to get the water machine. So here we are, back to the water machine. The demand for it is so freaking high. It sold out week after week. First at 37 minutes. The next week that it was open to brand partners who are on the waiting list, they all sold out in 24 minutes. So people are getting the email, it's available, and they're logging in to pay. And by that time, it was already gone. So this is an incredible time for everybody to go grab that. So as we wrap up here, Michael, the next 5 minutes, what else do you feel about the water machine that we can share? Because David's speaking more on what this does, regardless of what the FTC regulations are saying.
Well, you had our Aussie friends on there. They've been massively suppressed as well during the time frames all the way up to now. But when I was in the SEAL teams, my favorite place to go and work with a group was Australia. They were so much alike. We always had fun together. It was amazing time. But keloid scarring, and after I had those problem areas on top of my head cut out, and this is like less than a year ago. And so I started using the water in August of last year, August 15th. That's when I unpacked my machine and I showed it on my site. It was August 15th is the day.
Nice.
And then from that point on, all the scarring started disappearing. Keloids gone, smooth. Keloids are basically raised scarring. All of that's gone. I did a show where you can look on my website and see where I did a show on the LifeWave water machine just recently, last week or so, and it shows all of that. You see the time difference when I got it. I got the cutting done, and then progressively after I got the water machine until like a week or so ago, and still it is like massively rapidly healing. So the last two areas on top of my head are almost completely healed, completely. And I've not had in the last 25 years a period where I didn't have something that was like some kind of open wound type thing that I was dealing with, and now since I started using the water machine, I would say about 6 months ago, it completely was gone. No more. The scarring was almost completely gone now. Keloids were gone. And all the different areas, I had a lot of areas that were a problem, and on my skin and on other areas of my body, I had some problems. I'm like, oh my God, not on my body too. So I started taking the water and spraying it all over my body, and a lot of people
like that.
And that's when it started to go even faster in the healing. So all over my body, no problems, and top of my head, almost completely healed, which was a possibility a year ago. I was like, I might be done. All right, so it was not a good time.
Yeah, I saw those pictures from your show the other day, and I mean, man, it's incredible. I've had stuff that's happened to me, and I've put these patches on, and now I've only had the example of the Bosnian pyramid water and being in the tunnels. So I can only imagine for myself personally what's going to happen when I imbibe the water. But again, for anybody in America, like you're listening, You heard Michael say earlier on, right? We've given glasses of water to people who are in hospice who are told they've already prepared and they graduated hospice. They graduated. They're back home. They're walking 3 miles.
Yeah.
You know, and we actually privately we're not able to have the woman on publicly, but you know, at least one of them has said, "Yeah, I'll share my story." You know, inside the community, like
Good.
awesome. So that's happening. That's underway. You know, to give hope to people. Again, we're not here to treat, prevent, or cure, right? This is just like, hey, proper hydration, like Ringer solution, IVs, necessary, best hydration in the world, 6 layers of liquid light. Awesome. What then? If you were,
my daughter
yeah,
just turned 30, you
oh,
know.
nice. Congrats.
Yeah, so, you know, she didn't even know about my problem. So I, you know, kept it myself and just dealt with it. And she saw my video and she contacted me today. She's like, "Oh my God, I saw your video. I had no idea." And a lot of people didn't. So, and a lot of people have taken that video and have used it and shown people, and they're like, "I'm getting that." So,
Cool.
yeah, get that video, show that video.
We'll do it on the next one. Yeah. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be awesome. Well, I'll let you go now with one final question. Back to the Anunnaki woman who is likely your co-part, you know, or cohort rather, you know, in that civilization. What would she say about this water? And the patches right now, if she's 10 feet tall and you're the same size and you're being an ambassador, an emissary, rather, representative of the Anunnaki civilization to U.S. Air Force personnel on that cigar ship.
Yeah, I mean, she would absolutely promote it. She's like, but that's why I am here, because she can't come in right now because, you know, the dark side would probably try their best to take her out. But we have, you know, the light that's trying to work through us, me, you, and everyone that's involved in the life wave, and it's happening. You know, we're basically helping humanity, you know, not just stay alive, but thrive, and thrive in a way that's possible, you know, through the monetary side of LifeWave as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, everybody, you can contact us. Links are below. You can see the QR code on the screen. You've got us on email, chat, Zoom, phone calls. We're here to help you all around the world. Get involved on the business side, amp up your business. If you're already in there, one of the brand partners on iSide said, "Hey, I want to have a phone call on how do we, you know, roll this out to our family, our community." Totally cool. We're here for everybody. And then the key thing is you take care of yourself first, because when you take care of yourself first, that's a harmonic vibration that extends out. And then you can take care of other people, and then they can take care of other people. And just imagine that we have love, levity, liberty, and prosperity and peace across the planet. And it happens at the cellular level, which then in the physical body is the cellular. And that's all about the light and sharing the light. So thank you for being the light for all of us, Michael, and everything you do, as well as your lovely wife. It's an honor. Thank you, my friend.
Same to you, Brad. Thanks for taking time out of your incredible adventures to, you know, do a show. It's great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, motorcycle from Sarajevo to Dubrovnik, another city built on top of megalithic structures and split and everything, and scuba diving with Brad Olson and a Croatian Navy SEAL, right? 13,000 or something, 12,000 dives he has, and all of this kind of stuff with some of the greatest people in the world, like Dr. Sam Osmanagic. And then, you know, working with you across the pond at the moment. Truly appreciate it. All right, everybody. We'll see you all later. All the links are below. Get involved. Ask us questions. We're here to help you, support you, and let it rip. We look forward to hearing all of your testimonials here on our next Keys of Creation show that we'll be showing here too. Bye.
Tonight we have special guest Juan O'Savin. Juan has shared for the first time ever, and I've been doing shows with him for 6 years, a list of what he's going to talk about. Wow. So he's been incognito for a couple weeks now, and that's so he won't leak something accidentally, because there's a lot going on. So the subject tonight that he wants to share, Thursday, which was changed from Monday to Thursday, because of leaks in the information. Lots of leaks going on out there. That's why Juan wanted to lay low. Thursday will not be National Security Declaration related to elections. A lot of people have, taken upon themselves to determine what's going to be spoken about. So this is common, especially among the very corrupted press that we have. It will be release of records showing foreign election interference, U.S. and other countries, 2020. Still laying the groundwork for that. So that's coming up, obviously, Thursday, tomorrow. I think it's 9 o'clock Eastern. Why is Iran holding out so hard? They do not want to return bomb precursor, yellow cake, obviously nuke precursor, nuclear dust to the U.S. It's the stuff Obama and Hillary sold to Russia. So I guess that could be traced back to Uranium One, and that would put both of them in the treasonous category. All right, so that's why Iran is like trying to cover for the illegal activity of Obama and Hillary till the last, right? So don't care that their countrymen are like losing everything, their power. This is part of what they do, right? So Graham, Ukraine, questions are justified. McConnell, questions are justified. We'll talk about those two people. So that'll be interesting. And then Air Force One, not what people may think behind the plot. So very, very interesting things. We have Juan standing by right now, so I'm going to bring him on. So he's, like I said, he's been out for a little bit, so we're happy to get him back. Juan, good to see you again, or good to see you, Carl.
Hey, for sure, Michael. And I should be the concrete jungle in a.
Very good.
Anyway, we need to be discussed, and I haven't done any over the last couple weeks, mostly because the places I've been and the stuff I've been involved in, I did not want any possibility of anybody to leak something or said something that shouldn't have happened.
So your internet is a little bit poor, Juan. I don't know if you can get to a better spot, but it's coming in choppy.
Well, let's see if I can move forward just a little bit, if that helps with these government buildings. I'm telling you, man.
That's a little bit better, yeah. Yeah, good job.
Okay, yeah. And so the deal is we have so many things going on. And, what happened over the last several days? Let's just kind of revisit a couple of things. First off, you were mentioning just a moment ago about Air Force One. Well, the interesting thing is immediately after the events around Air Force One, where they used the original aircraft to back up, New York Times reporters were served subpoenas in their offices for information, and it was disclosed publicly that it related to events around the incident with Air Force One. The scuttlebutt, the conversations concerning that allude to the idea that there was some type of insider knowledge, conveyance of information of this threat or potential threat against Air Force One. So think of 9/11. How is it that minutes into the events, somebody like Tenet and others could suddenly come out and say, well, it's Osama bin Laden? Right. We haven't even had a chance. They're still putting out the fires. Did somebody say something? Where was the information? Is it total speculation? And part of the reason that's also very important, the imprint that's put on an event in the first minutes helps to control the narrative longer term. So was somebody working actively to control the way any incident around Air Force One is spoken of in order to shape how the blame is sent, who is construed as being responsible. Now, I will tell you, within certain of the circles, it will be shocking to people at some point, I think, who it looks like actually is responsible for this and what that context is. And I don't expect that to actually come out decisively anytime soon. I think for various reasons that probably won't come out maybe for, a year or two because it's so sensitive. Um, and there's a lot to play out. Um, but certainly subpoenas into New York Times reporters and offices certainly should be alarming to everybody. And could it be that somebody had some advanced knowledge, pre-knowledge of what was supposedly going to happen, before it actually happened? And if that's the case, the other thing is, was there a responsibility on the part of the personnel there at New York? In fact, there was foreknowledge. If what has been certainly the scuttlebutt out, but unverified, turned out to be true, is there some um, liability? It's not like the Pentagon Papers talking about things that have happened and like that. Foreknowledge is a whole different thing, and they would certainly have some responsibility to convey concerns to the right place. I've even heard that it was, in fact, somebody in the New York Times who may have, in fact, done the job of a good citizen and reported that there was something going on that had foreknowledge. So it may not have even come from the outside. It may very well have been a white hat there that could not be construed as being complicit by knowledge and decided to get out of the way of it. So there's a lot of angles here. The one thing I do want to kind of emphasize with our crowd specifically, we do not want to be in the mode where somebody could construe down the road that we have leaked something that was not supposed to be leaked. And as the president comes up, part of the thing is, over the weekend, this previous weekend, there was a bunch of leaks that came out of the White House about what President Trump was actually going to say in the Monday afternoon news conference that was originally scheduled. And so part of the question was, who leaked when they weren't supposed to? And is that something that we should that should be dealt with, attacked? I would say absolutely. Somebody, leaked at the White House things that the president was going to say and do, and those people have been exposed because the president didn't go Monday afternoon, and the information was stuff that they about the news conference was supposed to be secret until released. Now look at what's going on with the Thursday talk to the nation. Again, people are trying to get out what it is the president's going to say, and he doesn't want it out. He doesn't want it out before he says it. He doesn't want to get that conversation started till he lays out the terms of what is said in that conversation. So I think we need to be aware that several of the people that maybe want to do something, I'll use it for example, John Solomon, the journalist. There's people saying that he leaked information about what the president was going to say over the weekend. He didn't. In fact, he's getting ready to incorporate that in things that he may do, even presenting it to an attorney, because anybody saying that he was the source on leaking anything, he's saying that wasn't true, and he's there on a special assignment at the White House related to the Epstein papers, and he is not disclosing information to anybody about what he's done. He says, I'll take a polygraph if I have to. So who's trying to slime him? Who said what about what he was doing or what he might have said or done to try and slime him, to discredit him before he releases his information and viewpoints on the Epstein papers, which he is in the White House reviewing right now, or in the media areas reviewing right now in a special task force. Who wants to slime John Solomon so that when he tells us what he found in the Epstein papers, he is somehow discredited or removed from that group? And it's for fraud. It's not true. He didn't do anything wrong.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, so that'll be interesting when they finish that report. And then, President Trump, when he does speak, it'll be quite interesting, because I guess today the House passed another special SAVE Act, which will go to the Senate, and it's probably, they have 50 votes now, so it's probably going to get passed. So this will be more impetus of what Trump is going to share tonight, or not tonight, tomorrow night. And then probably the Senate will vote on the SAVE Act. So how do you see all that shaping up?
Well, of course, the House has passed the SAVE Act several times.
Right.
The Senate hasn't passed its version. So the question is, you have a couple of interesting things. Lindsey Graham was doing work to get the SAVE Act through with other senators, and he's not there. And of course, we have the questions of Mitch McConnell. Now, let's pause for a second. The other day when Lindsey was over in Ukraine at the drone factory and sporting around, laughing, talking about these drones that the Ukrainians had, which were state of the art, blah, blah, blah. He then was returning to the U.S. And there's a couple ways that you can do that. We haven't been told precisely which method he took to return. And then miraculously he gets home, has a medical event, and I will tell you that before it was even public, not long, so it wasn't a big gap, but I had somebody that mentioned there's a problem, and also noted activity in DC. And I kind of, it happens all the time. You get scuttlebutt and you got to just take a deep breath and, okay, well, you don't know what it means. But then it was a short while later that the announcement was public that he had passed. And the same locations were indicating that what was being said wasn't what actually happened. So let me just go to the speculative side. Let's just all take a deep breath. There does seem to be something amiss with the timing. And there was a huge push. Everybody had to show up, back at the White House. There was something going on. The president raced back. If you got word that something had happened where a senator may be in peril or even have expired, that'd be a big deal. It'd be an even bigger deal if it happened to be during a Russian attack at a facility where that senator was somehow present. You know yourself, you can be in the zone of a concussive blast and not show any marks on your exterior body, but it can cause, a tear in an aorta, brain hemorrhage, all sorts of things, even due to damage that don't show up right off the bat. So there is some question. Are we fully aware of what exactly happened while he was in Ukraine before he left? And was there something that maybe even got missed? And but the damage was done. So, and to take that a little bit further, if it was ever found out that he had been somehow injured in this Russian attack, of course, he was there putting himself in harm's way, but would that trigger some response amongst the population or the political realm to then do something extraordinary to, in response, because a politician, U.S. politician, was there and got injured? Would the Russians have likely known he was somewhere in the area? Probably pretty likely. So would that possibly escalate us, create the basis even for some greater response militarily even? There's a lot of questions there on that you have to take a deep breath, and for valid reasons. We may not fully know the whole story quite yet, and that's still, watching for ways to bring forward and flush it out that have to do with national security.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that a far reach? You're in the same realm I am on many things. Does that sound off at all with what I'm saying? And we just need to slow down, kind of understand there's some serious potential consequences if some aspect of this is not quite what we understand. There may be a need to slow down so that we don't cause some broader, wider conflict that we don't want or not ready for at this point in time.
Right. I guess the FBI is like swarming his neighborhood. So that kind of leads us to believe that there's maybe some, something else that's going on. It wasn't just a natural occurrence. But if they do have knowledge of, he was in the vicinity of a blast, yeah, that could definitely have the concussive effect from that could have caused some problems. So,
well, yeah. There's other things that could be used too. I mean, go back to the church committee hearings and some of the other subsequent stuff where, they pull out a weapon and it fires a dart that doesn't leave a mark, that causes a heart attack and other things. There's so many angles here. And of course, we go back to the SAVE Act. You got Mitch McConnell. We're looking for proof of life there. Everybody that said something in the pictures kind of imply that maybe we're not getting the full, true, correct story there too. So, right. The photographs having all sorts of anomalies in the photographs supposedly of him present, where you got to kind of wonder. I think of what's his name down in Venezuela, who his daughters had to pose beside him with a paper. The Cubans are forcing proof of life, and Chavez, and they had to show that he was actually still alive to keep the ruse going for a while. So I don't put anything past anybody. We're in very rarefied air, including within the administration. There's nation state level stuff going on that intrigues abound, even with what Trump is going to do. There's all sorts of speculation because I've said numerous times that the president's going to pause the elections this fall, and they're not going to happen on time. Interesting little detail. So I had Peter Tickton on stage with me amongst many other speakers where I asked these questions and talked about it at the Fraud Fighter Summit in Vegas a few weeks back. But Peter Tickton and we talked, and in the course of our conversation, he said, I don't see any alternative. The president's going to have to pause the fall elections because the primaries already have people that have been put on the ticket that that's not legitimate within the votes at the primary level. And so all you'd be doing, even if you ran a perfect election now in November, that would not correct the frauds that are already in place. You can't fix the fall election because it's already fixed. It's been fixed in the primary votes, the early votes, of who gets to be a candidate. And it may not be everywhere in the country, but it's in enough critical spots, and there's no correction in place that you cannot now take corrective action in time for the fall election. The only way is to do a full pause across the country. And what the president's getting ready to release is documentation, amongst other things, that show foreign interference in the 2020 election and other elections. And not just in U.S. elections, but all across the world. Now, the reason that's important, Peter Tickton agreed with me. A week and a half ago, Newsweek magazine comes out with an article trying to make Peter look like he's off his rocker because he's saying that we're going to pause the fall election. They made no reference to me, which is fine, but the reality is that's the public place he was saying it, and they light off on that. They're trying to undermine that it's not, he can't possibly do this legally. That's what they're trying to say in the article, that, Congress and courts will stop President Trump. So it would be an illegal act if he was to pause the fall elections. As a matter of national security, if foreign entities, countries, businesses, persons have interfered in our 2020 election sufficiently to have put somebody in office who was not the legitimate, winner for the people of America, then we got a problem. And remember this too. How many times over the last many months has Trump made the audacious statement, even all the way back to last year when the generals were all assembled in Virginia? He made the audacious statement, I'm 45, 46, although I don't really want to take credit for that, and 47. What? You were 46? You were the president, 46? Again, why? Because if that's true, and let's take it at face value that Trump is speaking truth and he can back that up, what would be the basis where he could even make such an audacious statement? It's not just that the election he won, but he didn't get to take office. That would be a way of viewing it. No, that's not the way he's saying it. Though I don't want to take credit for it. In other words, he was working and administrating within that stolen election environment. I don't want to take credit for it. Well, if he was just speaking about the vote and a fraudulent vote, and I should have been put in office, he wouldn't say it quite that way. And Trump is very careful with his words. So then what's the next step? As I've told your audience and many others, because he never conceded the election and he was operating as commander-in-chief. But one third thing, and I love Professor Clements, a great friend. We've done a number of things together. He pulls out a chart at the Las Vegas event. He'd done it other places, by the way, private events that we had even last year and this fall, or this spring. And the chart that he pulls out is one that President Trump has shown at his rallies consistently over the last 5 years. And that chart, which most people don't really look closely at, it's just flying past you. It's a chart which shows the president's disapproval rating, how much people aren't happy with President Trump. And then 2 days later, went to Cheyenne Mountain and did the walkthrough that was pre-scheduled. And when he gets to the outside, tells the press, hey, out of an abundance of caution, because we may already have been attacked, we may be at war and not realize it yet. Out of an abundance of caution, I'm sealing up the mountain. Now, this chart shows that at the lowest level of President Trump's approval ratings. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you people can go out and take a look. And President Trump never corrected it, never had his staff corrected it. President Trump says, I'm going to have to leave the presidency, resign the presidency. And what? President Trump resigns the presidency? Yeah. What if he resigns the presidency and it's right on that chart and it shows his disapproval rating and then it starts to go up from there? Well, he was still president in March, April of 2020. The election wasn't till fall. Biden didn't take office till 2021, January 20th. So did Trump resign, leave the presidency at the same time he closed up Cheyenne Mountain and only retain the commander-in-chief position? That's what the chart's saying. Go look at it. Take a look. See if I'm not right. I've told your audience all along that the president retained nuclear and did not turn that over and didn't hand over the biggest gun. And, of course, that's what they were looking for at Mar-a-Lago was the biscuit, which is the nuclear codes. The only place on the planet, based on the way that the codes are written for continuity in government, which NORAD ensures. Remember, there's two continuity in government operations that are competing right now. It's Senior Executive Service, which came into being under Jimmy Carter, and that whole racket ever after, along with the Inspector Generals, and them claiming that they have the right to, protect between elections and all. It was in the aftermath of Nixon stepping down, all sorts of things. But the prior authority for continuity in government was retained by NORAD as the nuclear age came into America. And so what the president is doing, I allege, is operating as commander-in-chief within a NORAD continuity in government operation, and that the challenges are coming from Senior Executive Service and all of their minions. And by the way, as President Trump took office January 20th of 2025, in the first minutes that he was back in office, he had a desk with a whole bunch of executive orders that he signed. One of the very first orders, very, very, very first orders he signed as part of this current administration was to fire just shy of 10,000 senior executive service employees. It's the largest agency of government nobody's heard of. And they're the ones that are doing all the mischief. Every time Cheney had a fake heart attack, where was he at? He was, well, I was just running the shadow government. Well, he wasn't lying. That's senior executive service. You're watching a battle over who gets to run the country. And what Trump's about to do, well, let's watch tomorrow night. He's going to lay the framework with disclosures of foreign interference in our elections. And there's not just thousands, there's millions of pages of documents and information that can be released. Only he knows exactly what he's going to release tomorrow. But then we, the public, and people from around the world are going to get a chance to look at what he reveals. And, as he begins this national conversation, this international conversation about these operations that are led by nation states, the stuff that Maduro will have discussed while he's in our custody, the stuff going back to China, to Serbia, some of the other peripheral operations with NATO partners, London, Italy, etc. And as that comes out, we're going to have a period of time now as a people to sift through that. And most importantly of all, your audience, Michael, and others similar, where we have been, people like me, and there's other people that have brought stuff forward, said similar things. I just mentioned Professor David Clements, a very great friend. What an outstanding patriot. He does incredibly detailed analysis on the legal side within the vote stuff, etc., and has traveled the whole country. I think there's only one state left. I think there was two. He hadn't been to Hawaii, and I sent him over to Hawaii to do some stuff, and he did a fantastic job. I think he hasn't been to Alaska yet, but traveled the country extensively to bring clarity on a number of subjects legally, including whether or not you had to get the shot, and then on the vote fraud stuff, the way the vote's conducted and like that. And, here he is out there. He's got the chart. He's showing it. Mm-hmm. President resigns. He's on the same page as I am. We had that talk at Las Vegas. So with that in mind, now your audience and others similar are going to have to go to work. There's going to be lots of hosts, including you, that are going to have pieces and bits of information within the documents that you're going to be able to share, review, add other information to, add context to for timing, and the various players to flesh out these frauds, this war against America, to put people into office who aren't actually there legitimately, and not just at the presidential level, but down through the ranks, Congress and the Senate. And by the way, Brunson is not live right now, but there is something that has developed, and that may pop its head up in the course of these conversations coming up over the next many weeks. So stay tuned. It's not live yet. Don't go out and tell people something that's false. If you see somebody say they're hearing it, they're doing something, whatever, tell them to shut up. When it's live, I'll tell you.
Awesome.
I'll tell you. If you don't hear it directly from me or Loy, don't believe the bullshit. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, standing behind Trump when he's going to give this address on declassified intelligence is going to be the CIA director, director of national intelligence, FBI director, Homeland Security secretary. They're all going to be standing behind him. Wow. So this is going to be huge.
Well, think about it. I don't. There's something else coming that I will save probably till September at the event. But there's an interesting angle here that isn't even going to come out in the next few weeks. So let's let that develop. I started to get ahead of myself. One thing I do want to say is this, and I want to ask the audience, please, let's go at the rate that the president wants to go. Let's not try to get ahead of him. There's going to be a lot of people want to speculate. And then in the course of that, they'll want to slime, just like they're trying to slime John Solomon, slime people within this audience in a specific or a generic way. And so let's allow the president to say what he says. There is a sequence to it that is for the broader public. And so let's allow him the latitude to bring these things out in a certain order, and then we slice and dice accordingly. And you won't need to speculate too much. And then you're going to be on solid ground, because he's going to give you exactly what you need to have the conversations with your neighbors, relatives, all the people that thought you were the nut. You're going to go from ass to head in very, very short order if you haven't already. And the whole country, the whole world is going to be faced with a conundrum. We have the president of South Korea in prison right now. We have the former president of Brazil in prison right now. It's horrible. uh, supposedly over, election stuff. And he was trying to get to the truth of what happened in the South Korean elections, uh, and had to declare a national emergency and go into the vote center trying to get the information out of the servers. Didn't happen. Oh my gosh, I have a great wife. Anyway, uh, that's really, really important because it's not just America. Think of all of the things going on around the world, that if you had different leadership in place, maybe things that look impossible would be relatively simple to do with international relations. And so we've been fighting a war at lots of levels where lots of people are in office around the world through fraud, causing all sorts of angst for us. So this is bigger than most people have even had a chance to really contemplate thus far.
Wow, definitely. And so you pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I don't know. We got a couple things there real quick that I think we should hit real quick.
Okay.
Let me hit one thing here, Michael.
Okay.
Some stuff that everybody thought disappeared, was old, didn't matter anymore, we're on to new things, are going to come back. And you see, part of the context, even within this move to to have to go to a emergency stop on the fall elections because people got into office through fraud. Part of the deal is some of those people that got money and were in the loop, why did they stay there? What's going on? Because they were already implicated in huge, very criminal, treasonous even activity. And I go back to Obama. So think about this. I've said to your audience and other audiences numerous times, Obama is a creation of the CIA.
Right.
Obama's history, even back to his mother, before he was born, he was somebody's tool, which is actually very sad. Did he have choices? Yes, he had plenty of choices. He had opportunities to try to break out. It probably wasn't going to be easy, but he stayed with the narratives. He stayed with it because he got rewarded as he went. His real mother isn't even Stanley Ann Dunham, by the way. The parents, uh, mother and father of Stanley Ann Dunham, were both on the payroll, one with the FBI, one with the CIA, back in the 50s. And that determined their travels and activities. And then Stanley Ann, when she received Obama as a baby, because she didn't birth Obama. And we have lots of interesting documentation, eyewitnesses, and testimony that establish that that's just actually the case. She shows up suddenly with a baby, and weeks, months earlier, only a couple months earlier, wasn't even pregnant, had no sign of pregnancy, and in her swimsuit, going places. And all of a sudden, she shows up with a baby, and then the baby's much older, even than what she pretended. See, Obama wasn't born on August 4th, 1960. He was born a couple of months earlier at a location in Canada. And so when he was born, they picked him, or when they wanted to bring him into the U.S., they picked a date to bring him in as a birth date, and it was the Queen Mother's birthday. August 4th, 1900 was her birthday, and it denoted a tie to British intelligence at the time, just so that, we can spend time on these other times. I've spoken about it previously. So before he was even born, he was somebody's tool, if you will, to push something that somebody wanted to push, a narrative somebody wanted pushed. So as he grew up in that role, he um, uh, was used. When his mother went to Indonesia, she was an employee of USAID. And why is that important? Because USAID, in the church committee hearings that came out, that all the USAID employees, specifically in South America at the time, were also working for the CIA. And although it wasn't extrapolated out to other locations, you can imply that they were mostly working for the CIA everywhere else, including Indonesia, where she went, where there was huge intrigues related to CIA operations. For example, the president, and I always get them mixed up, Suharto and Sukarno were the two presidents, one before and one later. I believe it was Suharto came out and said that every person who was a member, or this group, Subud, that this group Subud was actually being used by the CIA. It was supposedly a pseudo-religious group, non-religious religious group. That Subud employees or members, both, were part of an active plot by the CIA to undermine the government of Indonesia, and specifically named that group. Well, Obama's mama was a member of Subud, and the person who later became the health director in Hawaii that supervised the release of Obama's birth certificate also was a member of Subud. There's only 3,000 Subud members in the whole world, and they're both. It gets better. So the person that came out and became the health director for Hawaii and supervised the birth certificate stuff before it was released, she was also the treasurer of Subud, the organization, living over in Bellevue, Washington.
Wow.
Why is that important? Well, if you control the money, where's the money coming from? Where's it going out to? If you want to have a cover operation, somebody's got to manage the accounts so nobody gets wise to where's the real money coming from, right? And then, by the way, there's only 6 places on planet Earth where Subud has an actual operational church location, if you will. So in Indonesia, in Hawaii, in Los Angeles, actually northwest Los Angeles, up there in the area where all the rock bands mysteriously came from, also Topanga Canyon Hills and all that. Bellevue, Washington, Chicago, and Langley, Virginia.
Wow.
But it's not a CIA operation. It's not. I promise you, it's not. But here's an even better one. Okay, because we're talking about Obama here. Where did he come from? How did he move up through power? How has he become president? Who helped him? Okay, what's the point here? Because Obama was getting help all along the way. And by the way, go take a look at Stanley Ann Dunham, who so sadly, just before Barack got to be a senator. So nobody gets to talk about her, look at stuff, ask questions, blah, blah, blah. She's gone. But then look at the mysterious rise of Loretta Fuddy. And suddenly she's in Hawaii. She's the health director. She helps get the birth certificate out. She has all just the right credentials, but she's never been a doctor, never done anything like that. But she has just the right credentials suddenly to be the health director. And then apparently they never met. You got an organization with 3,000 people. They've both been members of it for 40 years, yet they've never been seen in the same place at the same time ever. Isn't it funny? I think she's Supergirl. It's Clark Kent. You're being conned. Take a look at Loretta Fuddy and take a look at Stanley Ann Dunham. And by the way, in fact, we'll be presenting on this at the September conference. One of the greatest hoodwinkings ever in American history is the Fuddy hoax. And I'll leave it at that for now. We've talked about it previously. I'll have a friend out there with me, co-authored a book with him, and we're going to talk about that. And because every major investigative agency in the United States was part of that fraud. Military, FBI, FAA, Navy specifically. You have so many players involved in the fraud of the Fuddy hoax. It's unbelievable. The only way it could happen was an insider ploy. And what was the deal about the birth certificate? Remember, I'll add this one thing. This is very sensitive for both of us. What was it that took the birth certificate off the headlines 5 days after it was released? It was the capture. They had that information forever. They used that as a ploy to take him off the front pages, take the birth certificate off. Okay. It just goes on and on and on. So we're going to have some fun with that stuff here come September. You know, we have the Storm Summit coming up September 10th to the 13th. I expect you to be there, bro.
Oh, I signed up early. I got the early discount. So. And I have a presidential suite this time. I've been trying to get that presidential suite, so finally got it. Yay. So yeah, the Storm Summit, I have it on the screen.
Oh my God.
13th.
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, you know, I've had those presidential suites several times, and I just love them.
Yeah.
You know, we've had meetings in there and like that, bring people in, and that's an outstanding.
Yeah, the suites are great.
Tracy Joe to make sure there's good cookies in there. I'll be over.
Yeah, we'll have to invite you. That'd be good. So yeah, we didn't get to I saw you when we came in, and then things were like a whirl. There's so many people that are speaking there. I'm trying to absorb it. I'm trying to go upstairs and share what's going on downstairs, and I'm having all these people coming on my show afterwards. Wow, what an incredible informative event. There's nothing like it.
Well, I had one of the people that was there that's you'd know the name of. I don't want to say it, but he grabs me by the shoulder at one point and he says, "Please put somebody on that I don't care about so I can go take a break." Everybody here, right? Every speaker I got to stay for. I couldn't leave to go hit the head. Come on, man. Give it, next time spread it out a little bit. So we added a day. It's actually, a 4-day event, three and a half days at this point, and try to give a little bit of room for breather there. But let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. You've been to a lot of events, gauging it. Did we nail it? Was it, better than you would have otherwise expected?
Everything was amazing. The food over the top. The only thing I would say is have more serving tables this time so we can get through the lines faster. Hopefully they can accommodate that. But the food was fantastic.
Well, actually, we Matt and I have 3 times now met with the Ahern to make sure that they have addressed those issues, and we've addressed them accordingly. And so I think the 3rd time, and we met with the chef, who's phenomenal, and I think we've got a great plan going forward. The other thing was some of the sound was screwed up, and it had nothing to do with us. Ahern, after we got there, tried to adjust for the size of the crowd, which we tried to get them to do beforehand. This next time, my engineers are going to control the sound. We'll bring in additional stuff so that we get a nice even sound through the whole location. So it was great for some people, poor for some people. It was a little spotty, and so we've got some stuff to address. And by the way, I got to meet with Don Ahern a couple of times, who's a great patriot. Yeah. He has other businesses, he doesn't actually make money on the hotel.
Wow.
It's kind of a act of love or whatever. He has other very, very successful businesses. And so, with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees. But he takes this personal. And so he assured me the other day when we were meeting that he's having the stage taken out. In fact, they are shutting down the hotel operations in that main area, their lobby area, for 10 days here in just a couple weeks. And they're pulling out all of that bar that was in the middle that blocked everything. And then they've moved the LED screen that I purchased and put in for this last conference to the other side. They were testing it when Matt and I were there the other day, including us going over the sound issues. But it will be so much better. It's going to be amazing, and open things up fairly dramatically for us. I'm still sticking with the classroom type seating because chairs just jam together.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man.
It gives us a place to eat too, and that makes it much more comfortable. Yeah.
Well, and by the way, just so that you understand what my logic is, the reason I like to provide the meals is because then people hang together. Even when you had the long food lines, you at least got to visit other people. It was
a lot of chatting going on. Yep.
Yeah, and so it's you network. I don't want that this time in that way, but I want people to visit and network. And it's like going to a Trump rally. The best part of a Trump rally is the networking, hanging out with people like-minded and talking before and after. And so that's a lot of the logic of even being able to relax, sit at a seat with a desk and like that. And with the way that it's laid out right now, you can sit anywhere in that room and you got a spectacular view, and the screen is big enough. It's just very pleasant and enjoyable. So there's a few things they're still working on, but we have an agreement on that. And so I'm very excited about, and the hotel people are too, because they're like, oh no, this is like totally changes the environment. It's going to be fantastic for everybody. But the information, without spilling any beans, certainly the attention to this event is very high. And I'll just say it bluntly. If you look at the mechanics of the next several months, if I'm correct, and somewhere in here, the president's going to announce a full stop. We're pausing. We aren't going to hold the elections on time in November. Mm-hmm. When can he do that? Can he do that like the day before or even a week after? It'd look like a coup. If you waited till the elections are done, then cry foul, because it just wouldn't look right. If you lost, then you're doing something, or it's spotty. You're only going to fix a problem here and not there. The system is broken top to bottom. So, would he do it tomorrow night? Would he announce a freeze to the fall election tomorrow night? It might be nice at some level, but I'm just going to tell you that the groundwork has not been fully, properly laid for most of the public. Maybe within this crowd, I had a bunch of people while I was out in D.C. the other day. No, stop it now. He's got to stop it now. He's got to stop it immediately. No, he doesn't. The other side, the people who've been frauding elections, they have no option. They have to go forward at this point in time, try to win by whatever means possible, hope that something happens to Trump. Remember, there was a serious enough attempt to kill President Trump on Air Force One the other day that they had to bring in a backup. And then subpoenas were issued, and information from one of the biggest press groups in the world, New York Times, some reporters there, looking for something. This is so big, it's bigger than just even America. We're in a global fight of some magnitude, because if you take out the election fraud in America, you show that it has to be other places. The people that we have here testifying before grand juries right now have told people that you would know the name of in this audience, including people over at Homeland Security, the FBI, Department of Justice, military investigations, that they actively flipped elections in 71 countries plus the United States. So as we get into it for America with 2020 and other elections, then you got to look at who else got frauded and what's the impact out across the rest of the world and how do we address that. This is a big, big, big thing. So Trump isn't taking this lightly. And but okay, let me go somewhere
I
else.
agree with you, and I think that what's going to possibly happen
Yeah.
is they'll show that the election fraud was happening in individual states. Let's say, for instance, maybe Georgia and the Senate race there, where you had Warnock and Ossoff. Both those guys, I think, are going to get revealed that they stole election, and probably more. So that's going to bring a lot of information, light to this, and I think people are going to be like, yeah, we need to take a stand down and make this right.
Well, okay, so let me go somewhere else that I mentioned it in my little message over to you. Think about this. While Barack was in office, he did some really wild stuff, including he sent billions of dollars, actual real cash, printed American $100 bills, pallets and pallets and pallets of them, over to Iran. And supposedly it was money that was frozen in the trust accounts going all the way back to when we shut it all down as the Shah came in and all that. And so Shah was out, and then the Ayatollah came in, and so they got pallets of cash. What do they do with that cash? Well, they bought some stuff. And part of what they bought and paid for was material that came out of Russia. And President Trump has identified that as nuclear dust. Nuclear dust. Okay. Yellow cake? Is that what he's talking about? Uranium materials, precursors for making enriched materials. What are we talking about? Nuclear dust. Okay, so Trump, in the same context, has said, listen carefully, we want it back. What? What? Wait a second. We want it back. Whose nuclear dust are we talking about? If they bought it out of Russia, must be Russian nuclear dust, right? It's from their uranium operations, right? If it's the dust that we're talking about. But we want it back. You could say we want it. Russia might have done it. Iran didn't have the ability to make this stuff, supposedly, this concentrate. But that's not what he says. We want it back. So now let's go look at something a little further back. Remember the Uranium One deals.
Yep.
And what were they trying to do? They set up a mechanism to sell a third of the uranium materials created in America through business trusts and operations to Russia. We're going to sell our refined nuclear material to Russia? And then, by the way, do they truly need it for reactors and for power generation and to sell to China and everything else? Where did it ultimately actually really go? And who's the con artist that built this scam out? Hillary and everybody else involved. So it goes to Russia. And then, by the way, Iran has money to spend to buy it. A bunch of Russian oligarchs made money, and a bunch of American politicians And Buddies and Globalista got money from this whole operation. And by the way, just a little side note, you know, a great American friend, Del Smith, had an airline called Evergreen Airways. And it was commonly referred to as the CIA's airline. What they did is they supported American operations, State Department, clandestine, other things, getting materials anywhere in the world they needed them for whatever the U.S. government wanted. They were a contractor. And at a little bit later date, they went into security at bases like Afghanistan, Iraq, and provided security personnel so that you could bring in commercial flights and also military flights and secure those locations. And so Evergreen had a lot of things going on. As the Obama administration started, and it actually went back to the tail end of the Bush administration, they started not doing the contracts or paying contracts that had already been done to Evergreen. It's a private airline operation. As they got choked out a bit, they took some loans out of Saudi Arabia because there was business they were doing to stay viable and to keep things moving. Eventually, during the Obama administration, all of a sudden, they're like persona non grata. So they're in trouble financially. Even though they're providing this amazing security, they're staying alive there, but there's threats that that's going to stop. And it's going to be handed to somebody else. They're trying to find a cause to stop that. When they finally succeeded and choked out Evergreen Airways, who replaced them? They still have operations that have to go all over the world. We still have stuff that has to go. Some of it went to a couple other mainline carriers, that do other freight forwarding and things like that. Some of it went to a handful of private contractors. But amazingly enough, I go back to Iran. Take a look at the airplane that delivered pallets and pallets of cash onto the runway in Tehran. You know what? That wasn't any of the contractors. That was an aircraft among a whole fleet that was hijacked from a Patriot whose original birth was another location on the planet, came here, had been here for a very long time, and they were toying with him, threatening him, actually put him in jail for several years, no charges ever. That's going to come out in the course of all this because they hijacked his life, including all of his aircraft. Tens and tens and tens of aircraft. And that aircraft that delivered those pallets to Tehran was hijacked out of his personal fleet. They didn't pay for it. They didn't do the service of the stuff. They don't have any records to show any proper operation there. They just went and grabbed it and threatened his life if he said anything. And they were using those aircraft to do dirty deeds all over planet Earth that they didn't want on somebody's record over at a place like Evergreen, where they wouldn't have done anything that wasn't totally cleared within a classified environment, and they weren't going to get called in and have to do anything. And by the way, we had a similar situation. We had one of the contractors back in Iran-Contra who he was the source that went to Congress, says, yeah, I did this and this and this. Here's the people that did it. Here's the receipts. Here's how it was paid for. Here's how it was clandestinely handled and approved and authorized by all the right people. We didn't do anything wrong, and that person was never charged, and he was directly involved in Iran-Contra all the way. Del Smith would have done the same thing, and so would have his personnel. That's why they had to hijack somebody else's aircraft to do their dirty work and threaten them within an inch of their life. And here's a person that was being a total patriot to America, was willing to do anything they needed, but what they wanted him to do was lawless. And that's going to come out. Imagine having your whole life hijacked like that, all of your personal possessions used for all sorts of mischief, and you can't say a word. And if you do, they're going to throw you in jail and say you did it. There's a big drama coming on that. That'll take years to unravel. Okay.
So did he do business with Evergreen and then
No,
Evergreen? No.
nope. They just, when they shut down Evergreen, they saw they could intimidate, hijack the agents involved, all the personnel involved
Yeah.
in every aspect of that aircraft's operation that
Mm.
delivered those pallets needs to be brought in, interviewed, and determined, especially with the ones that were on the government payroll, both as contractors and as intelligence agency employees, including State Department, including Treasury, need to explain themselves, how what they were involved with. I had somebody that, in fact, they're only going to be around probably for a few more days now. They're on their deathbed. But asked a question at a critical moment back in the 90s, and I had to assist them through this. All they asked, and to give you a level of importance, this person's material that was generated from his location, he had a budget of about $500 million annually just for his small office.
Wow.
For things they had to do. But his reports were part of the president's daily brief every day, usually the first page. And at a certain point, through other contacts, I was asked to assist. And all he did was ask, is what I'm doing legal? And they have a classified environment where you can go in, get a number, ask a generic question, get an attorney's opinion so that you have something to protect yourself down the road.
Right.
If you're working on a classified project and there's a question whether or not there might be some illegality, either how you're financing, who's getting the money, stuff being done on or off U.S. soil, etc. It could be any number of thousands of things. People have to go there. But he asked, is what I'm doing legal? And the reality is that there were executive orders that made what he was doing precisely, exactly illegal going back to Kennedy. And yet, and the way you get in that specific situation and many similar, in a particular building in which his office was located, he would have to go to a secure room, no windows, no nothing, camera watching the room when you're in there, and then no dial on the telephone. You would pick up the telephone and ask for a certain name, Mr. Smith, Mr. Johnson, some generic thing. They obviously know exactly who's there in the room, and he's available or he's not. In this person's case, he was always available. And then they would give him instructions what to do that day. We need you to do this and this and this. When you get back to your office, there's going to be a piece of paper on the desk. It's going to give the exact times, coordinates, etc., where a precise thing has to happen. And you go back, and then you start your team working with what they're doing to come up with answers and possibilities. And then there's a further coordination. Then it's done. And then the president has to approve exactly what's going to be done that day, or at some future time, because of what's going on. He has to literally sign to approve what's going on. And but a lot of times the president wasn't precisely aware of what was going on, and the president wasn't always signing the stuff that was being done. And this person's like, well, I don't know who is on the other end of that phone line. You never see him.
Yep.
What if somebody has captured the operation, even though you're on an excruciatingly secure line?
Yeah.
Okay, that there's only a couple of them in the whole world. There's not 50 locations they can call from. Okay, and you're getting this instruction. What if that person is somehow captured, hijacked with current technology? Is there, a computer in between you and you don't realize it? So he's asking, is what I'm doing legal? This is what I'm basically doing in a generic sense. Instead of getting an answer, a couple days later, a forklift shows up in the hallway, and a chain is attached to his safe where he has the response on that letter, and the safe is pulled out of the wall and drug out of the building. They do probably $250,000 damage just getting the forklift there to pull it out of the wall. And then they're going to send him to a medical facility to have his brain examined. In other words, they're going to cook his brain.
Yeah.
It took a decade to get that unraveled and get to different administrations. The reason I mention that is that within the audience here, there's things that go on, just like hijacking someone's life and aircraft. $1 billion worth of aircraft hijacked. Who has the authority to do that? And who pays for the fuel? It came out of this guy's accounts. They even paid the pilots out of his accounts. He's wealthy. They just hijacked his life as though he was doing it. Remember the James Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever? And you have Jimmy Dean, the sausage maker, playing this part where it's kind of like Howard Hughes. And then the question is whether or not Howard Hughes is actually running his own corporation or if it's been hijacked. It's the same thing here within the military and in the intelligence side. And if they've hijacked stuff like this, who are you going to answer to? Where are you going to get a court? I could tell you some of the stories that happened that would actually make people's hair curl. You'll be so pissed when it comes out public. Things they did to this guy's family that are so over the top. But he's one example. Look at the stuff going on out in Las Vegas with Rick Saga, who's running for office out there in Las Vegas. He's come out publicly where they hijacked his life. They've literally gone through the court. It was all over a healthcare system that somebody wanted to run out there, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. And he's got huge things legally going on. Before it's done, you're going to see a bunch of people go to prison for a long time, and it won't be Rick. But they're just a couple examples. You're going to find dozens of guys who were just being honest patriots, who the government under Obama and Biden literally stole and hijacked their businesses and their lives and did anything they wanted with it, to the point of even stealing their aircraft and using them to transport pallets of cash to Tehran, all the other things. Uranium One, think of the Bundy cases. And the bird refuge. What were they going after? They were going after the uranium in the soil, and they were setting up so that Uranium One could buy the rights to all that uranium on all those Forest Service and BLM lands. Okay, that's what that was all about. And where was the uranium going? It wasn't just going to Russia. That was just a through point. It was going to Iran. And why does Trump want the uranium back, the nuclear dust? Because it has isotopic signature to it that will show it came from the United States, not from Russia, not from some African country, not from anywhere else in the world, not from China. It came right here from the U.S.
Wow. So is this senior executive services, parallel government, doing all this stuff?
Well, I think a lot of that is going to come out, and that's going to, here in the U.S., it's Senior Executive Service. The larger operation that's global is Serco, run out of England. And that's a much larger global operation. It's about 2.5 times larger on budget and size. And so they work hand in hand. And when we get the rest of the truth, which, by the way, everybody here, you got to understand, this isn't over in just a few weeks or a month or two. In fact, I don't think Trump declares a national emergency, if I'm correct, until as late October.
Wow.
It could be sooner. Okay. Okay. So I think that we're about to find out that this is going to take a lot longer, be a lot more complex than most people have even begun to understand. And we have to be prepared for a long push. If President Trump pauses the elections, how long before we as a people could hold an honest election again? I think it was unrealistic to say it's 6 months, even a year. I think it's bare ass minimum a year and a half till we can hold an election again because of the depth of the fraud. Even though there will be all sorts of pressure, we're going to be in a very serious environment, and everybody needs to take a deep breath and understand this is for all the marbles, and you'll never get another shot at this. So it has to be thorough, it has to be expansive, and it's not just here in America. The threat is worldwide, and that's why this speech tomorrow night is so important. To stop and do a evening speech to the country is a big deal. And by the way, the three big networks don't want to um, do this. They do not want to give President Trump that. So anyway, I should bounce. I hope everybody here, that helps you a little bit with what's coming tomorrow night. There's more that we could talk about, but we'll save some for later, and maybe do a show next week after the announcements tomorrow night. How's that sound?
That sounds awesome. So Jennifer Mack.
Yeah, Jennifer's got some great stuff over there. Hey, all the Megador stuff is live. She's got the Tina Peters coin over there, and it's thejennifermack.com. There's some great stuff over there, and love to, see everybody there, and the storm. Get to the storm, you can post that, and there you go, bro.
Yeah. Huge audience, Juan. You had over 6,200 on YouTube, and looks like over 2,500 on X. So good job. Got the word out.
You always get a lot of people that come and view it later, and I always appreciate that. So hopefully this helps people a lot, and they don't feel. I just haven't do the shows and get ahead of where the president's at this exact second. So right now, everybody should do likewise. Slow down. Go with the real news. People will want you to get into the speculation. What does this mean? Just go with what is said right there on its face. You don't have to speculate. Trump's going to be very clear about what's going on and what it means. And you'll have plenty of red meat to work with. You don't have to speculate, because the news will be coming fast enough and out enough that just staying with the live stuff, the real stories, will be plenty exhausting. And it's almost a foil to get caught up into, well, what about? You don't have to guess what about. That'll be coming shortly. So, slow down, be accurate, be absolutely correct, and nobody around you can throw any stones like, you said this was going to happen, you said that was going to happen, and then it didn't. Well, go at the pace that the news is going. If you didn't hear it from the president's mouth, if you didn't hear me say it directly or somebody else say it directly, slow down. We don't need interpreters to say what we're saying. All right?
Very good. All right. Thanks, Juan. We got all the links in the description box, guys. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Super. Night, folks.
I've been looking at the news because a lot of things have been happening, and the most important was this big NATO summit they just held in Turkey, and in many ways that was a game changer. There was a few things that we need to understand about that. First of all, Europe has split with the United States. The European countries there at NATO have all agreed to increase their spending, but they're not going to spend anything on U.S. weapons. They're going to buy from each other. So that's a big takeaway. And then the United States is saying, well, then we're going to withdraw our troops from Europe and we're going to grab Greenland. So there was a big split there, and that means that the whole NATO alliance is finished. So that's one reason I decided to post an update. Now, the other thing that's going on is that the United States is vigorously trying to suck up to Turkey. And they need to do that because their agreement with Iran has blown up. The problem is they did not have $300 billion to pay in compensation as they promised. And the Iranians weren't going to take U.S. Wheat and other such products. They want actual money, which the Americans don't have. So their big hope now is that they can convince Turkey to, be their man or their, proxy in the Middle East. But Turkey has their own agenda. And I think what is still going on is the world is waiting for the United States corporation to go bankrupt. And this is going on slowly but steadily. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve is going down by 6 to 10 million barrels a week. It hit its lowest since 1983 last week at 319 million barrels. And it's going to keep draining because right now Iraqi oil exports are at 1/5 of their level from before the war. Now, the United States conquered Iraq in order to steal their oil and pay it to China. And China is saying we're not buying any more Iraqi oil. Now, the other thing that's happening is that Saudi exports are at a little over half what they were before the war. And again, this is mainly because the Chinese are not buying. What they're doing is they're boycotting Rockefeller-controlled oil. The same thing is happening with Canada. Canada's oil is not controlled by the Rockefellers, and they're building a 1 million barrel a day pipeline to export to Asia, and they're exporting to Americans who are friendly to Canada and not beholden to the Rockefellers to keep the American people's cars running. But as I say, we're waiting for this swamp to drain, and it's going to take until autumn. And in the meantime, just as I predicted, Iran and the United States have been blowing each other up, and the Iranians, at least they know what to target. Take a look at this video of a data center being blown up in Bahrain. I asked the Iranians if they were planning to do that to data centers inside the United States, and they hinted that it could be coming. And personally, I think that would be a great thing. We'll see. And now the other thing that's going on is that, even as the elites continue to try to distract us with these wars in Ukraine and Iran and the Middle East, people are waking up and they are taking action into their own hands. I think one of the most unreported but significant news events of the past very long time took place in Brazil when mobs started destroying HARP facilities, the weather warfare facilities. That's important because these facilities can destroy, cities with earthquakes, but they themselves can be destroyed. They're just a bunch of men sitting in radar stations. And so here you can watch the Brazilians tearing one down. And good for them. That's the sort of thing that needs to be done until these things fall into the hands of the white hats. Now, another item that crossed my radar, which I thought was important, was the reason why Donald Trump, or whoever is using Donald Trump, supposedly it's the white hats again with their Space Force, but regardless, they've got a limited hand, and they really do need to negotiate the bankruptcy of the United States. There's no other way around this. But in any case, in this clip here, you can watch Ukrainian dictator or Ukrainian dictator spokesperson Vladimir Zelensky basically threatened Donald Trump with Ukrainian drones if he visits Russia. So, we have very major gang factions, and the gang faction that's using Zelensky as their spokesperson is threatening the gang faction that's using Trump as their spokesperson. And that tells you a lot. And it's just, none of us want any of these gangs in charge anywhere, but this is the reality we're now facing. And another thing that has come across my radar, which is important, is we have this claim here. Well, listen to it. It's they're saying that QAnon was created by Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon to distract patriots to redirect them in the wrong direction. It makes a lot of sense because the QAnon people were all talk and no action. You know, we didn't see any real action, unfortunately. It's the rest of the world that's taking action. But this just goes to show how incredibly manipulated information is, and how dangerous of people we're dealing with. You know, so that's why we really do need to carry this out at the street level. And also, what's happening is internationally, the royals of Europe who are not involved in Satanism are making a big push. And this was seen with the King of Spain and the Spanish government and all their actions against the United States and the corporate rulers of the United States. So, for example, Spain has joined with France and Holland and other European countries to remove Palantir from their systems. So they're cutting themselves off from the NSA. That's important. And from the U.S. intelligence community, that's very significant. But more importantly is when you saw the Trump saying that he was going to cut off all trade with Spain, well, there's a reason for that, because there's a real battle now taking place, and this is a key one that we all need to get involved in. King Charles of England is a fake. He's a fraud. And he has been used by the dark hats to take over control of the Western monetary system, or at least a large chunk of it. And that's why we need to remove the fake King Charles. This is essential. This is what removing the blackmailed pedophile Keir Starmer from office was. But the fight is still going on. And the key is Prince William, or King William. As I've said before, it now turns out that he is cousin to the King of Spain, and his father, well, I guess he's half-brother to the King of Spain. They share the same father. They have different mothers. So this means that this is a Habsburg push to remove Satanists from the British royal family. And Diana's family was not Satanist. So, but King Charles, there's plenty of evidence of this. So removing that whole faction from power in the UK will turn everything upside down. It'll be the key. And that's the battle that's going on beneath the surface this summer. That's why a lot of us are staying in very safe locations as this carries on, because we are dealing with, you know, assassins and very dangerous people who are literally fighting for their lives. And speaking about assassins, I just found out something that made a lot of sense, because she, you know, as a famous musician, she was not going along with the public narrative. And these couple of clips, this is how they, you know, keep control over politicians and stars. They say, hey, if you don't go along with our program, we're going to do it publicly, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, that's a two-way street now, as they're finding out. You know, a lot of the members of the Rothschild family are dead, and so are a lot of members of the Rockefeller family. And, you know, if you start killing people, it's just self-defense. But we really do have a silent battle over this summer. But the key is, and what we're all fighting for, is that we remove the control of the Western financial system from Satan-worshipping gangsters, and we have an international meeting, like a new Bretton Woods stage, hopefully this fall, to set up a replacement for the system that was set up after World War II. It's time to do this, and that's what's going on beneath the surface. But again, I expect there will be a fundamental deadlock until the U.S. Petroleum Reserve runs out, and we can finally bankrupt that corporation and replace it with something else. Canada has secured funding to write off all U.S. debts, public and private, and help finance a rebuild of the U.S. infrastructure, industry, and economy, and restore democracy and rule of law to the United States. We have the funding for this. We're ready to help. And this is no way a threat to U.S. sovereignty or independence. It's simply neighbors helping each other out in times of need. So this is all standing by. Again, mathematically, the dark hats are doomed, but they're going to be causing a lot of mischief this summer, and even though it's against my personal interests, I think tuning out of the news for the summer is probably going to be good for your mental health. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself today. Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Hi, Ben. We have our first question for today. Do you have any more updates on this NDAA from Monday's report? And is there anything that you know of that could significantly stop it from passing?
Well, I think the key is to make sure the U.S. military does not get any money until they make it very clear they're working on behalf of humanity and the white hats and the American people, and they're not working as proxies for Satan worshipping Kabbalists headquartered in Israel and Ukraine. That's the key. I think as long as the military, does its job of defending the people of the planet Earth, they'll get a budget. That's my understanding. And they'll get a good budget, better than before, because they'll be the good guys again. Next question.
Hi, Ben. We keep hearing about this 4 months of shutdown / autumn offensive. How many times have we heard this before, and why do you believe that it might be different this time?
Again, knock on wood, it's like something slowly circling the toilet or the drain. Eventually it's going to go down, but sometimes it can do one more loop. But a lot of things have changed from the past. But I think the key is the situation in the Middle East, where the oil is no longer flowing where it used to. So the lack of Iraqi and Saudi oil is draining the dark hats of their main source of liquidity, and they're being boycotted elsewhere. So we have a very realistic possibility that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve will run out, and that will force big change. So that's what we're counting on, but we're not going to just passively wait. We're going to do everything we can to make sure it happens this time, because enough is enough. I don't think we want another year of this garbage going on, where you have so-called Western leadership that can do nothing but start petty wars and engage in theft of, and insider trading. This is not a government. This is a criminal takeover of what used to be a government, and I think we all need to end this, and we all understand that, or most of us. Next question.
Hi, Ben. I got a comment here. It says, the South Korean financial underground world said to me a long time ago that Edward Snowden is a man who is affiliated to a minor anti-war hawk Rockefeller faction. What do you know about this, and do you believe it to be true?
I don't have any insider information, but he didn't really reveal very much, did he now? He wouldn't talk about Israel doing 911 or a lot of other important stuff. And so for me, it was a limited hangout distraction, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, because at the end of the day, he didn't reveal very much at all. Next question.
Hi, Ben. So we haven't heard a whole lot about Iran recently in the news. Do you have any new information that maybe we haven't heard before about what is going on right now in Iran, specifically regarding the Strait of Hormuz and oil production?
Okay. Iran is producing a lot of oil, and there's huge exports of oil going through the Strait of Hormuz. Not only Iran, but also the UAE, Bahrain, and Qatar have sided with Iran, and they're exporting huge amounts of oil to Asia, Japan, China, etc. What's happening is that the oil from Kuwait, Saudi Arabia is not, the oil from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and Iraq is not flowing. They're not finding customers. Those are the ones that are being boycotted. And this is oil that was controlled by the Rockefellers. So Iraq is at 1/5. Kuwait is less than half, and Saudi Arabia a little over half. So this is draining the petroleum reserve, and that's what Iran is doing. They're basically waiting, and they already have an international alliance, and they're saying very clearly that Israel will be replaced with the multi-ethnic, multi-religious state of Judea. I heard a message from the Iranians today. Well, they sent me an image of a data center being blown up, and then ended the message with "Long live Judea." I think the liberation of the Jewish people is coming soon. Next question.
And then we have our last question for today. It actually starts with a ask for an extra long Q&A, which we can certainly do at some point in time. But it also asks if we could hear a little bit more about the royals in the entire game between the White Hats and the Khazarian Mafia. Could you touch on that a little bit as our last question for today?
Okay. Yeah, the royals have played a huge role both for the good and for the evil, and this is what I've encountered. When I first was sent by the Asian secret societies to negotiate, I went to Italy, and the Italian, I don't know if you call them white or black nobility, whatever, they still at the time reported to King Ram Emanuel. He's a descendant of the Caesars. So they do have these sort of Caesarian bloodlines that are very influential, especially in the Catholic world. And then we had the British royals, who unfortunately under King Charles were part of a cult that, Queen Elizabeth, although she was born into that cult, was very heroic in that she fought against the plan that was set up under George Bush Sr. and Jr. to kill 90% of humanity. So her faction said, no, we can save the environment without killing 90% of humanity by putting a tax on carbon. And that faction now agrees that, okay, the carbon tax is not scientific, but protecting nature is a good goal. And there is a new head of the British royal family who's not someone you've heard of, who is fighting for the creation of a future planning agency and a much better system for running the planet. And they're allied with the Spanish royals, who are the Habsburgs, who are also responsible for the big change in Eastern Europe, especially Hungary. So those factions of the royals, I think at this point, are trying to do good, but the royals who are considered among the most evil, the Dutch royals, have fled and been replaced. And I'm not sure what's the story with the Belgian royal family, but they used to be the big child hunters and quite evil, according to the British royals. So we need to see what's going to happen with them. But clearly something has switched, and not all the royals are members of this cult. Rather, what happened was a lot of them left banking in charge of people like the Rothschilds, who are members of this cult, and now a lot of them are trying to reassert their control over money and take it away from the Rothschilds. That's sort of a short answer. Now, in Asia, the old Asian royal families do form a group known as the Dragon Family, and they are now united even across Japan, Taiwan, China. All of East Asia is united under that umbrella now, and that's a very important force for the good. So that's just sort of a rough summary of what's going on, but each royal family has their own group of Freemasons who are very influential in society, but it's not a single monolith ruled by a single, there are many different groups of Freemasons, each associated with different royal families. So the Italians have their P2 and P3 Freemasons. They're split into two factions, which I call them P2 and P3. And we're with the P3. And then the British, again, they're they're trying to restore the British monarchy under King William and take it away from the Satanists with their fake King Charles. So that's sort of what's going on there. And I think overall the royal families have purged themselves of a lot of the evil, and I think they're trying to be a force for good. That's my understanding. But again, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the people to make sure that we have a system of governance where the elite work for the people, and it's not the people working for the elite. That's what we're fighting for, and that's what we're going to try to make happen this autumn.
Judy note, military intelligence has revealed that on Saturday 4th of July at 23:59 and 59 seconds the cabal's U.S. corporation was officially dissolved. A minute later on Sunday 5th of July at 0 o'clock the new quantum financial system went live across the globe. Early morning Wednesday, July 15, 2026 the NORAD tracking grid migrated onto the new quantum Starlink system. The quantum financial system of 209 countries had been activated. Nizar Jazar debt forgiveness went into effect across the globe. The world began a transition to Tesla-free energy. Maritime law and income tax died. Any media not anchored to ISO 20022 security was terminated at midnight. Why? It all went back to 1871 when the Satan-worshipping Rothschild banking cartel hijacked the Republic, creating the U.S. corporation as a shadow government to enslave humanity through debt. For 155 years the U.S. corporation has ruled through black small square emoji, fake currency, Federal Reserve notes backed by nothing, black small square emoji, illegal taxation, IRS to foreign central banks, black small square emoji, debt slavery, in debt of $200,000 plus as a citizen, black small square emoji, admiralty law, not constitutional, black small square emoji, Rothschild power structure, Illuminati control. On Saturday, July 4, 2026 Trump and military intelligence dissolved the U.S. corporation, the shadow government ended and the constitutional republic and common law was restored. The quantum financial system activated and gold-backed currency was deployed. Nizar/Jazar was implemented as 209 nations joined the new system. A debt jubilee was declared and all fraudulent debts were cancelled. Medbed technology was unlocked with free healing for all mankind. It was hard to soar like an eagle if you're surrounded by vultures. Trump knew that the military was the only way to fly. As Commander-in-Chief of the Worldwide Military Alliance, President Trump activated his wartime powers, deployed the U.S. military and a coalition of 300,000 troops worldwide to make mass arrests of treasonous global elite vultures. Be prepared for a worldwide emergency alert, blackouts and 10 days of communication darkness. On Wednesday, July 15, 2026 at exactly 3:14 a.m. EST, a military-backed financial unit entered the central data hubs and permanently detached the fraudulent U.S. maritime law income tax system from the public infrastructure. This was enforcement of the Nizar global statutes and the cabal's loss of their debt collection power. Under the direct mandate of the quantum financial system, every home mortgage, auto loan, and credit card balance engineered through corrupt fractional reserve banking was null and void. The ledger lines were resetting to absolute zero. The U.S. Federal Reserve note was now officially dead. The transition to the new asset-backed currencies, including the new gold-backed U.S. Treasury note, was already fully liquid on the back-end network nodes. The stolen physical wealth and massive gold reserves recently reclaimed from the deep vaults of Rome and the private central banking dynasties have been digitally stamped and routed straight into the restored Republic Treasury pipelines. The unconstitutional U.S. income tax system was officially dead, replaced by a simple, flat-rate tax on brand-new luxury items only, with absolute zero taxation on food, housing, or medical assets. Simultaneously, the secure QFS distribution protocols populated the back-end screens for Tier 4B, us, the Internet Group, so we could soon be notified to make currency exchange and ZIM note exchange appointments. On that same Wednesday, July 15, 2026 at exactly 15:44 a.m. EST, a joint task force of alliance-wide hats permanently overrode the primary server matrix of the old NORAD tracking grid, which caused deep state operators to lose their clearance codes as the entire orbital surveillance network migrated onto the secure quantum Starlink system. This caused the subterranean high-speed transit loops connecting the Denver bunker vaults to the Cheyenne Mountain command centers to be sealed. The quantum system initiated a non-reversible override on the primary media relays and any broadcasting network or communication hub that not anchored to the clean, gold-backed ISO 20022 security protocol was scheduled for termination by midnight. The transition to the Tesla free energy grid entered its primary phase. The traditional narrative streams will go silent, replaced instantly by the 10-country Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, to deliver unsealed military court files directly to the population. Wednesday evening there will be irregular flight groundings and withdrawal of high-ranking administrative personnel from restricted government zones across North America. In this great battle of good against evil, one of Trump's main targets was Iran and Islam. Islam was largely alien to the American way of life, and has long been shouted throughout the Muslim world. Islam was bound to destroy us just like it was destroying Europe through mass immigration, setting up their own Muslim communities which were loyal only to Sharia law. There were several documented pieces of evidence showing Barack Obama was directly linked to the Muslim plan to take over America. Senator Tommy Tuberville said it was Barack Obama who was importing Muslims to take over local governments, and eventually the federal government. Not only was President Trump and Iran, he was dismantling a global coalition of 24 countries. Iran was the globalist communist cabal's Achilles heel. They have spun their web of control through Tehran and they were not about to let go of it. Trump's plan: America withdraws from NATO and see the cabal alliance fall apart. Tear up billion-dollar deals across the Persian Gulf. Impose a total blockade on the Strait of Hormuz and let Iran suffer crushing economic ruin. The Wednesday 8th of July missile strikes on Iran were actually a distraction. While mainstream media focused on explosions throughout Iran, the cabal's financial system was being dismantled as Trump's global military alliance executed Operation Financial Reset 0708. Black small square emoji, 847 financial accounts seized, deep state assets frozen, black small square emoji, 234 banking officials arrested, quietly, no media coverage, black small square emoji, 456 shell companies liquidated, off-books operations shut down, black small square emoji, 678 trillion in fraudulent assets recovered, being redistributed. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, breaking, explosive report, Venezuela list explodes, Maduro links 60 U.S. senators to multi-million bribe allegations, full list and documents. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, breaking special report, Speaker Mike Johnson warns the barbarians are inside the gate as far left pushes America toward communist death. What we thought we knew, but didn't really know and now are supposed to know but don't have a clue. With clones, doubles, made-up movies Hollywood style and Trump's military alliance throwing more popcorn at us, it gets so confusing. July 14, 2026. There are several documented pieces of evidence showing Barack Obama is directly linked to the Muslim plan to take over America. Even Senator Tommy Tuberville said it was Barack Obama who was importing Muslims to take over local governments, and eventually the federal government. White hats on Telegram. July 14, 2026. On Glenn Beck, the Scottish journalist Alex Newman warns the world. The unelected globalists, including Bill Gates, the UN, and the WEF, are building a gigantic digital gulag for all of humanity. See possible timing. On Friday, July 10, 2026, Swan 07, JFK Jr., posted the below schedule, revealing the final stages of the QFS activation and global currency reset that has the entire alliance on high alert. Some dates didn't happen as posted, so the information has been put in order of event. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, quantum override as the legacy SWIFT dies. Federal Reserve neutralized and IRS ended by Trump EO. Debt jubilee activated in 209 countries. Tier 4B, US, the Internet, liquidity distribution starts with gold-backed RV igniting massive wealth transfer to patriots. Deep state financial control shatters. Thursday or Friday. 16, July 17, 2026, Tier 4B and ZIM holders flood redemption centers for exchange appointments at the highest rates. QFS wallets go live for verified users. Cabal encryption keys seized. Children rescued from remaining DOMs as adrenochrome networks collapse with military raids. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, explosive report, Operation ISO 20022 is active, the global financial system has been breached from within. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, explosive bombshell, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirms $1 trillion in gold at Fort Knox, the gold is still there. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, breaking economic news, Kevin Warsh revolutionizes the Fed, weaponizing interest rates and bond holdings to crush inflation for the American people. Wednesday, July 15, 2026, the U.S. corporation is dead. Nizar/Jazar is live. The quantum financial system is live. Sync. Is Trump. The Republic is restored. This is not a drill. July 4, 2026, 11:59 and 59 seconds p.m. UTC. The old system was done. And so the new system was born. The Journey of Classifieds, Operation Republic Restoration, Military Intelligence, Black Small Square Emoji, July 4, 23:59 and 59 seconds, U.S. Corporation officially dissolved, Black Small Square Emoji, July 5, 0 o'clock, Quantum Financial System goes live globally. The Restorer. In 1871, the Rothschild banking cartel hijacked the Republic, creating the U.S. corporation as a shadow government to enslave humanity through debt. 155 years of rule by the U.S. corporation through Black Small Square Emoji, fake currency, Federal Reserve notes backed by nothing, Black Small Square Emoji, illegal taxation, IRS to foreign central banks, Black Small Square Emoji, debt slavery, in debt of $200,000 plus as a citizen, Black Small Square Emoji, Admiralty law, not constitutional, Black Small Square Emoji, Rothschild power structure, Illuminati control. The Liberation, July 4, 2026, Trump and military intelligence launch final strike, Black Small Square Emoji, U.S. corporation dissolved, shadow government ended, Black Small Square Emoji, constitutional republic restored, common law restored, Black Small Square Emoji, quantum financial system activated. Gold-backed currency deployed, Black Small Square Emoji, Nizar/Jazar implemented 209 nations join new system, Black Small Square Emoji, debt jubilee declared, all fraudulent debts are cancelled, Black Small Square Emoji, medbed technology unlocked, free healing for all mankind. The Secret Intelligence, Black Small Square Emoji, Operation Republic Restoration, protocol to restore U.S. sovereignty, Black Small Square Emoji, QFS global activation, quantum financial system is now live across 209 nations, Black Small Square Emoji, Nizar/Jazar protocol, National and Global Economic Security Act. The double blow, strike 1, financial liberation, old system dead, new system live, Black Small Square Emoji, strike 2, government restored, Republic restored Trump commander-in-chief. The alarm. The Rothschild banking cartel is panicking big time. They built their empire on the U.S. corporation. Now it's gone. Their currency is no good. Their system of debt is dead. They are helpless. The facts: you was born in slavery. They told you it was natural. They told you you'd have to work your whole life to pay off debts you never made. You're free now. Wednesday, July 15, 2026 emergency broadcast. The global revenue code has just capsized. Nizar/Jazar QFS. The IRS processing mainframes in Austin and Fresno have just gone completely cold. While the corporate mainstream channels are desperately scrambling to write a cover story about a temporary federal network glitch, a massive insider shift just took place behind the closed doors of the global banking pipelines. At exactly 3:14 a.m. EST, a military-backed financial unit entered the central data hubs and permanently detached the fraudulent maritime income tax system from the public infrastructure. This isn't a regulatory policy change, it is the official, non-reversible enforcement of the Nizar/Jazar global statutes. The old elite handlers are in a state of absolute, unedited panic because their multi-generational debt collection engine has just lost its power supply. The entire greenback Federal Reserve note and the master database holding your synthetic credit debt is being completely wiped from the core servers as you read this. Under the direct mandate of the quantum financial system, every home mortgage, auto loan, and credit card balance engineered through corrupt fractional reserve banking is being declared null and void. The ledger lines are resetting to absolute zero. The transition to the new asset-backed currencies is already fully liquid on the back-end network nodes. The stolen physical wealth and massive gold reserves recently reclaimed from the deep vaults of Rome and the private central banking dynasties have been digitally stamped and routed straight into the restored Republic Treasury pipelines. The unconstitutional income tax system is officially dead, replaced by a simple, flat-rate tax on brand-new luxury items only, with absolute zero taxation on food, housing, or medical assets. Simultaneously, the secure QFS distribution protocols are populating the back-end screens for Tier 4B, ensuring that the generational abundance stolen from humanity is returned directly to the sovereign living soul.